have. I might put in my headphones.
I cannot get to the mute button because this is in the way.
How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Great.
Good. All right, we'll give people like 1 or 2 more minutes and then we're going to head into our lead gen. So if you haven't already calculated how many contacts you've actually made, now would be a great time to kind of start jotting those down so you have real numbers in your head. Sometimes we underestimate ourselves. I've heard people go, oh, I only had a couple contacts and then I did an open house. And you go, how many people came to your open house? And they say 12. Well, there you go. You have 12 contacts. So that's one of the reasons it's really helpful to write it down over time. Do you agree? That's what I agree with. It's come pick me up. What? What? You say hi, everyone? What do we think? Okay, let's start our accountability. So we will go through how many contacts you've made, how many you've added to your database. If you've looked at any homes, you can share that as well, or if you've had any other major milestones. You want to get us started, Kaloum?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, actually, I'm building my database and I sent some marketing cards that I made. I sent about like 20 yesterday, and I made some phone calls too for my former coworkers. And actually, I found one of my friend. She's interested in buying a house. So, and she had the pre-approval before, but I found out it's expired like few months ago. But so I was advised her to get another one. She's working on it, and I'm looking for a house for now.
Perfect. Yeah, it's okay once those technically expire, as long as none of their major like milestones change, like they don't get a new job or take out any new debt, then it should stay pretty much the same. So that's really good. Get that updated, and that's your first new buyer in your new pipeline.
Yeah, question. So in that case, in the same time, can I show her properties with the expired pre-approval? Is that okay?
Yeah, as long as nothing major's changed, then there shouldn't be any reason that that's not still going to be fine. So it's good to have her in touch with the lender and know that she's out there shopping, but you can assume that that last one's gonna be good unless she's changed jobs or changed income or anything like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Tori, what about you?
wrote it down. It makes it easier, right? So I added 4 contacts to my database. I'm still working 2 jobs, so I was working this morning also. And then I had 2 actual conversations with people about real estate. And then I, yesterday or last evening, I created 2 different Facebook posts. One of them was just asking people about their neighborhoods, what they like about their neighborhoods, and showcased like what I love about my neighborhood. And then each month I've decided to highlight someone local in the community that I really love and appreciate. And I always try to tie it back to what people around me can utilize them for. So I highlighted a friend of mine who does photography. She did my headshot. She also photographs homes. So that post has gotten a lot of action. And then I reached out to my Buy Nothing group on Facebook and asked for blank cards, and I got 20 blank cards. So I plan to mail all those out.
Awesome. Great job. Perfect. Stephanie?
So I had one conversation with an individual actually about real estate. I've added, I think, 8 additional people since yesterday. Yeah, 8 additional people in my database since yesterday. I feel like I'm kind of working backwards now because I still don't have a headshot. I don't have business cards. So I'm still trying to get the marketing piece off the ground. And I feel like when I have these conversations, because I have nothing to direct them to, I need to back step a little bit and get some of the foundation laid. Because I literally I'm having this conversation and then I have nowhere to point them to. I mean, I haven't even changed my title on my work info, I guess, on Facebook or something like that. So I wrote down my goals of what I want to have accomplished by end of day Friday. And I'm hoping, outside of tomorrow's orientation, with tomorrow and Friday, I can really get some of those things set in place.
Yep. And don't let some of, Zoe says same with us, and I did have this conversation with Jeff too. Don't let those things hold you back. You can still say, oh, great, like I'm going to send you some cards. They don't need those cards tomorrow, right? Or need to know that you don't have them yet. You're really busy. So you still follow up with that next step and record that you're going to do that, then get your cards ordered, and then you can send those all out when you have them. So don't let it get you down. Perfect. Next we have Chelsea.
Hello. So last night, mostly I spent my evening speaking with my current, oh my goodness, my current sellers who are supposed to close on the 20th. I spoke to their lender and learned some new things about that. That's holding up that I didn't realize. So crossing my fingers that goes smoothly. And then they had sent me a home they were interested in. So I spent the evening contacting that agent, getting that showing set up for this afternoon. And then something that I found just really helpful from like my very short experience before moving here was that when I moved here and I bought my house, I was really diligent on saving like cards and information for everybody that I did use. So I have a list of the companies that I use that I liked to reach out to with my cards, send them business cards and a handwritten note. Also because I will probably be listing my home in the next several months, so I'll want to use them as well for good contacts. And then I have made 7 additional contacts today and calling back home with some of the agents that I'm connected with the Keller Williams in Tri-Cities as well, to let them know that I'm licensed, and I would greatly appreciate referrals and just trying to get that information out there as well. And that if I have anyone here that I can send to them, I will be doing so. So just trying to network with what I already have going on today.
Excellent. Great job. Tyler?
Yeah, I have not done a lot since yesterday. I did find that Facebook group for the Keller Williams page on there, so I joined that. But other than that, I had been planning to do the bulk of my work after class today, just because I was working yesterday and I've been up since like 4:30 in the morning. But I am clear for the rest of the week, so I'm going to be working on that stuff pretty hard.
Excellent. Great. Sorry guys, I'll pick him back up. He'll be happy. Ernest?
Hi, hey Mara, yeah, I have added about 4 more contacts to my database this week. I have also 2 Zoom meetings set up. What I did when I became a realtor, where I started kind of putting together my thoughts on a kind of a presentation mode. And it's just a continually change as I talk to more and more people. So I got 2 more people to reach out to and kind of go over that this week.
Great, good job. Avery texted his into the chat. Thank you, Avery, for that. Debbie.
I started off calling the real estate agency and checking on the status of my fingerprints, etc. Got the same answer I usually get, which is we'll have somebody check on that. I got some office supplies to get myself completely organized. I reviewed the script book and some of the scripts that were in there. I got the $1 Million Real Estate Agent book, and then I started putting my Sphere people in my contacts, and I called 5 previous clients from a different business, and I got a hold of 2, which I added to my contact list.
Great, good job. Jeff.
Kind of like Stephanie, Zoe and I were not struggling, but learning how to work together as a team. I think everyone here is a single agent, but Zoe and I are going back and forth with priorities. And now we finally have a big whiteboard with a list of everything on there that we want to try to accomplish. But our biggest win yesterday was we were probably up until almost 11 o'clock at night, but we finally decided on our brand. And I know it seems kind of silly, but it seems like everything followed suit. What is the Facebook business page going to look about? What is the brand like? What is our business cards? And so I do feel like we're a little bit behind on letting people know that we're in the business, but kind of like Stephanie, we wanted to solidify what that brand was going to be. We wanted to be able to send them to something that represented that brand. So that was a huge win for us, but we're definitely now a little bit behind as far as getting all the people we know into command and doing that. But it's on our target. It's on our whiteboard now. So.
Good. You guys are gonna have to stop making the habit of staying up till 11 doing things, though. That's the 2nd day in a row. Zoe, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, basically, we worked on the 411 to complete it yesterday afternoon. And so there's some big goals happening for later in the week. And we definitely have contacting people on the list. And we were really hoping to get that branding taken care of. But as Jeff said, although we feel a little behind, there's a lot of process stuff that we just didn't know existed until we started this process. And we're getting there. We're really close. Whiteboards in action, desks are ready. And the 11 o'clock thing was more like on the couch with whiskey while we chatted.
Perfect. Okay, fair enough. Alicia.
Hello. So I yesterday went through and added probably 3 or 4 new contacts to my database. I went through, I've had a lot in there for a while. So I went through and just really, beefed them up, edited them, added some phone numbers, found some emails, took some notes if I could from what I knew. I wrote 2 handwritten notes yesterday, which was really kind of fun. I haven't done that yet, so that was the first time doing that. And it had taken me a while just because I have a problem sometimes figuring out what I want to say. So once I got that done, I kind of felt the flow. So I'm really excited to do more of those. And then what was the other one that we were supposed to do?
Contacts. If you viewed any homes or had any or major.
No, I haven't viewed any homes. I did have somebody reach out yesterday through social media.
Awesome.
For a buyer. So I'm getting them set up on our portal and yeah, they were like, I went to high school with them and they're over here in Bend with me now, which is crazy. So they saw because my social media is current and everything. Yeah, they reached out and want me to help them. So
amazing.
That's exciting. And I have another buyer that we're looking for a house in a specific price range. So
good. building that pipeline. For those that logged in after we started this and may not have been here the past couple days, we are just going through contacts made and any major milestones. And that's going to be the routine for every class. We'll check in. Part of the amazing thing about the coaching program and Ignite is it's getting you in good habits of starting to do income producing activities like lead generation. So this is kind of your accountability check-in. Our goal for everyone is that they make 10 contacts a day, add 10 people to their database, and write 10 handwritten notes. Those can be the same 10 people, especially in the beginning. You contact them, add them to your database, and then follow up with a thank you card. And then preview 10 homes a week. So Christina, do you want to introduce yourself and let everyone know? No pressure if you haven't been doing it yet, since today's the first day of Ignite. No. Tanea, do you want to go?
Hi.
Hello.
Tanea Green. This is my first week that I've had my license, so I'm really just getting started. I still need to set up all of my marketing materials and all of that. I do have a buyer. She's a friend of a friend, so I'm helping her look for a place right now and really just dip the toes and getting those feet wet.
Awesome, great job. And Kelly?
Hi, sorry, I thought I had the wrong class, so I was kind of in and out.
Nope, you're good.
So I'm not quite sure exactly. You know, you were talking about what we've done. I'm not a brand new agent. I'm not sure if this is all brand new or.
Nope, that's okay.
Okay, I'm new to Keller Williams. I've been licensed 2 years. So right now, I guess I just switched brokerages and I'm just getting everything all set up again. I do have 2 in escrow since moving over. And I'm just kind of working on a business plan at this point of putting everything into action.
Excellent. Yeah, this will be some really great accountability for you to start spreading the word about your change and give you a good excuse to reach out to everyone in your database, get your tools. And just so everyone knows, Ignite is like, we build it into what new agents do, but it historically is not just a new agent training. It's something that you should come back to multiple times. I took it in my first couple of years 3 times in a row, or over that period of time, because you're in a different spot in your business. So each time you come back to these classes, you're going to kind of build upon what you've learned in the past, and improve some of your business plan and all of that. And you'll have different goals. And then Ignite's great for anyone who's not consistently selling at least 16 homes a year. So not just for new agents. Perfect. Well, we are going to have Shauna popping on here to teach today. I'm going to read her little intro. She is our amazing PC coach out of the Capital City location. She has a master's degree in business with a concentration in human resources and entrepreneurship. She has been licensed since September 2016 and at KW since September 2017. She has served in various volunteer roles during her time here at KW, including the Technology Ambassador, 2020 ALC, and she's on the ALC again for 2021. She's consistently one of the top 10 solo agents at Keller Williams and Capital City. She has a passion for mentoring the next generation of high quality and high producing agents. So definitely has a wealth of knowledge behind her. She is very good at getting the little nitty gritty like pieces. She's very analytical, and she's also probably out of all of us PC coaches the best on the technology side of it, from having that tech ambassador side. So that is awesome. If you don't have today's material, you can find it on the kwtechhelp.com website. Or if you don't have access to that yet, then go ahead and drop your email in the chat box and I can forward it to you. Otherwise, if you are in Eugene, Bend, Capital City, so Salem, or Portland, then you have the binders that the coaching program has provided as well.
What page of the binders are we on for this?
This is number 1. So section 1, day 1, number 1. And Tonight, I already emailed that to you, so check your email, make sure you got it. Oh, it looks like you did. Okay. Stephanie made a great question. She asked if the binders need to be returned. They do not need to be returned. These are yours. I want you to write in them, take notes, highlight, tear up, whatever you want to do to utilize everything. A lot of this is pretty interactive and going to cover a lot of the basis of getting all of your stuff up and going. Let me check in on Shauna. Perfect. Anyone else have any questions or anything? Oops. Perfect. So everyone has material.
I have a quick question, Mara, but we can
Yes,
talk about
go for
anything you want. But I saw the RMLS email today and took a
Yes.
look at Lane County and
Yes.
said 0.6 months of inventory, which over the last 3 months, that is the lowest over 3 years, 0.6.
Yep.
You know, so we're going to learn how all these numbers work and what that means. But obviously inventory is extremely low right now, but homes seem to all be selling for the most part, depending on where they're at and the price. But what's you've been doing it for a while now. What's your view, at least on the first half of the year? Rates still seem to be low. I mean, obviously we hope we're getting in at a good time.
Yep.
But any comments or upcoming classes or people you look to on what's going to happen in the real estate market?
So yes, all great questions. And for anyone that is part of RMLS, and I'm sure the other MLSs do this as well, they send out monthly market updates and you can kind of access it by area. And that's a great excuse to post on your social media and educate some people, right? Or create an email out to your database. So utilize that information. It's really, really good. Now, what I think about 0.6 months of inventory, it's extremely painful, if nothing else, as we're experiencing, as there's just not enough houses. And for what inventory means, or how you would explain that to someone not super savvy in the real estate industry, is inventory is so it's counting all the homes that we have on the market. And when it says like 1 month or 2 months or 3 months of inventory, it means, so say there's 1 month of inventory, that means there's 30 days of houses to be sold. And if we didn't take any new listings in that 30 days, there'd be no more houses on the market based on the rate that buyers are buying. So when we have something like 0.6 months, that means in about 15, 16, 17, 18 days, we would have no homes. So what that then correlates to is if anyone is thinking about selling, right now is an amazing time to sell. You're going to get top dollar, your home's going to sell quickly. Sometimes what we, and I wish kind of Sherry was on the call right now, but sometimes what we run into is we want to sit there and tell sellers to fix a bunch of things on their house or to change a bunch of things on their house. Right now is a good time that they probably don't need to do as much to get their house sold, right? Like it probably doesn't need to be a 10 out of 10 in order to sell in today's market. Just slap it on there and someone's going to buy it. And that can be good and it can be bad, right? It's great for our sellers. It's a little painful for our buyers right now. So sometimes buyers' inclination is to be like, I'm not buying right now. This is crazy. However, like Jeff mentioned, the interest rates are really good. So it's still a really good time to buy if you can find something that you want to buy, which can be a little bit more challenging. You have to, as a real estate agent, really be on your A game as far as explaining to our clients what they can expect in this market, right? Like if we tell them up front, hey, it's very likely that you're going to be competing in multiple offer situations. And so if we don't always get the first house we get, sometimes we'll get the second house we get, and that's okay. We will guarantee that you're going to be happy once you do get a house. I've never had a buyer, right, come back and be like, gosh, I really wish I would have bought that house I lost out on instead of this one. It seems like it always works out and that next house is better. So that's okay. But if you've told them up front that it's going to be like that, instead of after their first or second offer doesn't get accepted, they're looking at you like, well, do you know what you're doing? Are you doing this wrong? Did I pick the wrong agent? Like they don't have those thoughts. You've already told them that that's the market, you've educated them. So they have to be quick on their feet. They have to be pre-approved as you like and ready to go and write offers. And just educated. Sometimes they also have to be willing to flex a little bit on what they're looking for if they truly do want to buy. I don't think, from what I've heard, what I've been told, what a lot of people are saying, our inventory issue is not going to just all of a sudden like be a bubble and crash and change. What even Chris Suarez, who's the owner of most of our market centers, says is that the housing shortage, not only over the country, but especially in Oregon, is there's such a large gap that it's not going to change overnight. It's not going to change over the next few years. It might level out to where we don't have 0.6 months, right? Maybe we have 2 months. Wow, that would feel amazing. We were complaining then now, but that would be great. But it's not going to reverse. We just don't have enough new growth in our areas. New construction, affordable housing, all of those things are not here enough to change that at any rapid pace. So I would still encourage people to buy when they can. There's things that we can do negotiation wise to help sellers feel more comfortable listing their house so that they can find something. And we can talk a lot about that as classes go on and stuff too. But yeah, it's still a good time to be out there doing business. It just is hard to find inventory. So you have to be on your toes and ready to party once you take a buyer out there. Can I answer your question, Jeff? Good. Perfect. Anyone else have any questions? You want to see what Jeff's talking about? You want me to share that? Sean's having some tech issues. I'll share my screen. So this is what was emailed out today from the RMLS. And first you open up the email, asks you what county you're in. So you select the county. We're in Lane County. So this breaks down, he was talking about the inventory in months. So you can see October we had 0.9. And that was pretty crazy. November we had 0.8. And then in December we're at 0.6. And if you look back over the past 3 years, nothing's even come close to that. That's insane. And then if you look down here, it breaks it down a little bit more specifically. And then even farther down, I'm gonna zoom this in a little bit. Whoop. Sometimes you guys ask me for more area specific numbers. And so if you're looking for, like, you all should get the total market overviews as a TMO reports from your offices, which give you like all of Eugene or all of Springfield or probably different areas of Salem or Portland. But this really lets you look at like, okay, what does Thurston look like? What does Coburg look like? And breaks it down per an area in the MLS. So it's a little bit more specific. And then that way you can really talk to your buyers that are looking in those certain areas or your sellers that are looking in those certain areas about what's going on in the market and what to expect. that helpful?
Mara, one thing I want to add, one of our cohort Keller Williams agents, top producer up in Portland, Rob Levy, I was looking at his site and he has a great little video on there. And, you know, a lot of buyers feel like they can't afford today's prices. They're just going 20,000 over asking price and I'm going to wait, like you said before.
Yep.
I think it's helpful to add something because the rates are this low. He ran some numbers and for his area, he said buying today is like buying a home in like 2016. Would you have liked to have bought a home in 2016? If you think right now is a bad time to buy because prices are up, it's offset by the low rates. So buying that home at today's value at that low rate is like buying it in 2016. So if you do encounter buyers out there that think that these prices are crazy, I'm going to wait till they calm down, just realize the rates will go up eventually. And then you're getting less, you can afford less home. So it's a trade-off.
Yep, that is very true and a very good perspective. The difference is if you had bought in 2016, you'd now have this equity, right? Whereas if you continue to wait, you never buy, and you continue to wait and you never buy, you never get that equity stance. So it's still always a good time to buy. You're going to pay a mortgage anyway, so it's either someone else's or your own. And it used to be thrown around that like 1% on an interest rate was about $20,000 in buying power. So if you're pre-approved for 200,000 and the interest rates went up 1%, then you'd only be able to buy a house for 180,000. And that works the other way around. If you were, you know, pre-approved for 220,000, interest rates went down 1%, you could now then buy for 240,000. So just to give you some numbers behind that math that can sometimes be helpful when we're talking to buyers and explaining that. Like some buyers are, oh, you know, I'm priced out of this market, I need to wait and save up. And by waiting and saving up, they could lose out. So then sometimes we have conversations of like, well, is there somewhere you could pull this money from? You know, do you have family that could help out or something like that? That'd be a little bit quicker of a help. And so those, you don't miss out on those interest rates. It'll affect what you can buy. Then you're saving and it's still not enough. It's a vicious. Huh, what do you think? You think so? Good. Perfect. Shauna should be on any second now. She was having some technical issues, but they should be resolved.
Mara, I feel like you need like a backup video for this wait time you've had the last couple of classes instead of, you know, because you can't put the baby down until that other person comes over and, you know, you've got a moment.
Right.
Like a dance video or something, kind of, you know, interlude.
We're gonna start making TikToks.
Yes.
There's one TikTok I saw I want to do. You guys will have to hold me accountable this because I want to do it on my son. I have a 2.5-year-old for those that don't know. And there's this TikTok going around about having them change a baby's diaper, like a baby doll, and putting peanut butter in there and seeing their reaction. I think my 2.5-year-old, that would be hilarious. So that's on my to-do list, is to record that happening. I'll have to share it with you guys once I do. The last one I posted was of him, you know, throwing flour everywhere. Hey, Shauna.
Hi.
Perfect. We gotta love technology, yeah?
Yes. Thank you for being patient with my issues.
No problem. So attendance is done, their accountability is done. I've introed you. We've talked about some market statistics and the MLS report that was released. They all have their material out and ready or has been emailed to them. So they are ready for you to just dive right in.
Awesome. Well, that's wonderful. So we're going old school with this. Paris is going to run my slides. And I essentially am teaching from my phone with printed materials, but we are going to rock it.
I'm going to turn the little sound, the doorbell sound on for you. So if anyone logs off and then logs back on, the doorbell sound will play. So you'll know to let them in. Or Paris.
Okay, perfect. Is Paris on yet?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
I'll share my screen right now.
Oh, host. Okay, perfect.
Can you guys see that? The PowerPoint? Okay, great.
Yeah, nice. It looks good to me too. So, in the interest of time, I actually would like to give a really brief recap. So if you guys all are taking notes somewhere, I want you to write this down for me. First, well, let me ask you, is my audio good? Are you guys hearing me okay? Paris, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you great.
Awesome, perfect. So, this is a lot of material today, you guys, and because a lot of this material is around mindset and really getting prepared to launch your business in a successful way. There's over 70 pages of quality content here. What I don't want is to have the main points lost in translation through all of these really quality exercises. So what I'd like to do is start with, if you can remember 3 things out of today's class, I think the most important things would be, remember that your success is in direct correlation to the amount of time and effort that you put into building your business by doing lead generation. Number 1. Number 2 would be, you have to know why you're doing this so that on the really hard days and the days when you're going to struggle bus and your mindset is off and you just wake up a little funky, your why will be your true north and the thing that whips you into shape so that you never go a day without doing what you need to do to move your business forward. That would be number 2. Number 3 is that you need to hold yourself accountable and make sure that you've already predetermined that you'll have excellence in your real estate career by setting yourself up for success. So yes, hold yourself accountable, have high standards for yourself, but also pre-plan for the times that you're going to be weak on your own version of accountability, know yourself, and get some people in your life that can help hold you accountable when you feel like you can't do that for yourself. So, that's Mara, that's myself, that's Matt, but it's also your colleagues here in class, and maybe some friendships and some relationships that you build along the way when you're launching your business. So those are the 3 main things I would say. If you are taking notes on today's class, you have to keep your head in the game around lead generation. Never give yourself permission to do real estate work without having done your lead generation. Know your why and set yourself up for success by holding yourself accountable and creating a support system around you that can hold you accountable as well. So, okay. Let's start on page 7 in your workbooks. There's a little activity there with some questions, and what we're going to do is just have a conversation about it. So be prepared to unmute and we'll just discuss. So have you achieved your financial goals so far through your career? Why or why not? And before you answer, this is not just your real estate career. This is basically so far in your life. Are you at the spot you wanted to be at this season in your life? Have you achieved your goals? Why or why not?
I'll share.
Awesome.
I have achieved my financial goals. I think with every career that I've taken, it's always been something bigger, something better, always in the realm of helping people and connecting with people. But I think I guess funky for me is that even though I've met my financial goals, I'm not really feeling happy or feeling fulfilled. And so that's where like moving into real estate is really, because I've noticed that like, yes, I'm meeting my goals, but like I'm not spending as much time with my family as I wanted to. I'm really drained at the end of the day because of the work that I currently do. And so it's really helping me figure out my why.
Awesome.
Just knowing that.
Awesome. That's thank you for sharing. That's really powerful. Anyone else like to share?
Yeah, I can
I'll
follow.
share.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. No, you.
Okay, thanks. Well, I was just gonna echo Tori there. I'm pretty much in the exact same boat. Before I left Tennessee to move back out here to Oregon, I was in a job that absolutely crushed any, financial goals I had. It was easy. But again, the why wasn't there, and I didn't really like the work that I was doing, and I wanted to be here in Oregon. And a lot of people thought I was crazy for leaving that behind to come out here, but I wanted to come out here and find a way to make it work. And this is so how I'm doing it.
Awesome. That's awesome. There was someone else who was going to go right at the same time as you. Feel free to speak up now.
It's okay. It's just I was kind of the opposite of the first answer, which I kind of love because I'm super appreciative that I have spent many years at home with my kids. I've worked part-time. I was a hairstylist before, but it was not my passion. It was really hard to be in one place at once because I've supported my husband's career for many, many years, and he is pretty much working at all times. And I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I switched into real estate right before we moved to Oregon a couple years ago, and had just barely got my feet wet, but I absolutely loved it. And so for me, as far as like achieving the financial goals, I just feel like I've been at home being a parent for so long, and I love that, but also like I really, really love the connection with people outside my home and getting to help them achieve their goals as well. So for me, I think I've contributed a lot by being at home with my kids, but I actually really want to reach out and contribute financially on that side as well and kind of do both. So for me, it's a balance of family and working, but I'm like really craving that working because I've been at home so long. So it's just kind of funny the different perspectives we have when we have little kids and we're like at home and trying to work. And so I appreciate both sides of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love this conversation. It's really great. And I think for most people, certainly for me, when I went into real estate, and I'll share a little bit, is I had been quite successful in my previous career path. As far as my trajectory goes, I was in sales for a while. I worked for FedEx. I was in sales for them actually, and was very successful in sales for them. I went into management and was again very successful in management for them. And like Tori, at the end of the day, like I felt drained and I felt disconnected from my family, and I wanted like like more, more for them, with still a good financial payoff. And I had essentially worked full time and gotten my undergrad and graduate degree while I was working for FedEx. So by the time I was done working for FedEx, I had a master's degree in business and kind of started, like, I think through that process, building a mindset around owning my own business and having that be a thing. And I felt like, at this season in my life, really, like I want to start a business that I can essentially, at the lowest amount of overhead with the highest potential for profit immediately. And there weren't very many business segments that answered yes to that question. Real estate was one of them. And so I took the hours and I started in real estate, and I've never looked back since. I think it was an amazing thing in my personal career. So I know you guys are all just getting started, and I want you to be excited about what's coming in your lives. And as we go through this class today, just remember that the sky's the limit. You can set goals that you want to achieve, big things out there that you maybe couldn't have imagined doing before, because real estate really can fund whatever it is that your passion is around, and then that's where coaching helps you get there technically and with the numbers, like we can help you know how many units you need to close for that, like what your profit will look like at that size of business. Like we've got models for that. But just remember that all of those numbers and all of that technical stuff is all about funding your perfect life. So, all right. What do you guys think about real estate statistically having a pretty high failure rate out there, with a lot of agents, you know, getting out of real estate in their first year and in their first 3 years? What do you think is the one thing potentially that sets the more successful realtors apart from everyone else? If you had to pick one thing, what would you?
I would say like discouragement, or a lot of people really like instant gratification. And I feel like when I jumped into it, I really thought that it was going to be a lot easier when like my very first got my feet wet. Like I was just going to go out there and it was going to be like super easy, and I was going to end up with like, you know, contacts and clients from friends. But really there's a lot more legwork, consistency, really keeping a good network, going outside your box. I've always worked in like customer service fields, but not just speaking to people. I mean, really like getting to know people and to get yourself out there in different ways. And just not getting discouraged right off the bat, just really sticking with it, and realizing that you're not always going to get a paycheck right away, because it takes work to get to those paychecks and to keep them coming in. So,
right, exactly. Anyone else want to weigh in on what you think sets the more successful realtors apart from realtors that potentially don't make it in the business?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, me? Okay, I'll go. I thought that it was perseverance in general, but also specific to networking. So that general perseverance seems to be what I've seen from the outside, but I've never been involved with real estate before. So I am just going from an outside perspective. But it seems like perseverance in networking in particular seems to be what I see the difference in those high-level agents and agents that.
Right.
Yep, I think that's mindset. It's 100% mindset, in my opinion. You know, my wife has taken her classes and getting them done so that we can be a life team. And of course, you know, I'm coming around just to finish up classes that I missed for the first week that I got on board late. But I think, you know, I've been reading the Millionaire Real Estate book.
Yeah.
And it really does emphasize in there that think like a millionaire, net like a millionaire, act like a millionaire, and change that mindset. You know, I've been doing this since October. So, you know, I have about 400 people in command and about 6 leads, but those leads aren't going to, you know, just transfer into sales tomorrow. I understand that this business has it can have the illusion, I think, for some real estate agents that, hey, tomorrow I'm going to make that sell, when it actually could be 6 months out, 3 months out. It could be tomorrow. But I think you have to have that mindset, not that illusion.
Yeah, that's good. Mindset is really, really important. And the one thing that I would say is like, you can have a great mindset all day long, and you should have one. And if you have a really great mindset, but you never do the things, then you won't get very good results, but you'll feel really good about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of a disconnect between mindset and actionable, measurable results in real estate too. So that leads us perfectly into our next conversation about the 6 personal perspectives. How many of you did the pre-work for class and watched the video? That's crickets, but go ahead and put it in your chat box for me. It's okay that you didn't, like, no judgment here.
I don't think I knew that there was pre-work for the class we were supposed to do ahead. I'm sorry.
That's what I was going to say. Well, it's the first class, so you get a mulligan. I'll teach you about the pre-work. So let's make it homework for this class, but there's an awesome video in the pre-work. And it is about the 6 personal perspectives. So please write down, watch 6 personal perspectives video in your notes. And then we're going to go into a conversation about them here in class. That way, you know, when you're watching the video tonight, you can kind of be looking at it through the lens of, okay, we've already started to kind of digest some of this idea.
Now, Shauna, I have a question. Is it six videos on each of the perspectives, or is it one on all of them? Because
No, I think it's 6 short videos on each one. But there's a link. So there's a link in the mission for the class. So if you guys go to where you get your Ignite resources, the digital Ignite resources, you'll see for mission 1, there is a link to that. Does that?
Shauna, I'm going to put the link in the chat bar right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can also go to YouTube and just type in 6 personal perspectives, Keller Williams, and it'll pop up.
Okay, perfect.
For me,
Is there a pre-work?
That might be the wrong video, but the only video I have is how to use scripts.
There's
Yeah,
6.
The scripts video is for class, but so let's do this. And actually, I'm going to skip forward to the 3rd slide. If you can go to that one. Just this one. Yes. So here is how this works. We're going to go over this, and then we're going to circle back around to the personal perspectives conversation, because I think it's an important one. But how class works is there's a mission for every class. And ideally, you'll complete the mission before you show up for the Ignite power session. So for today, the link that you sent Paris in the chat box, that's to the Ignite digital resources, correct?
Yeah, that's the wrong one. It's the one that, yeah.
Can you put a link for their Ignite resources in the chat box?
Oh, the resources, yeah.
Yeah, just the resources page.
Yeah.
So you guys, it'll be
I
like
put a link in there that opens up all the sessions, and you do see Power Session 1 mission. And I
Yeah.
clicked on it, and it does have everything on there with little video triangle buttons.
Yeah, the little video triangle buttons, you just press those little black buttons and it plays the videos for you. So that's kind of like your punch list for getting prepared for class. And what I did was helpful for me before I took these classes as a new agent is I would just open up that digital PDF the night before and click through and watch all the videos, make some notes in the margins. That way, when we have talking points during class, you'll have something intelligible to say. And then if there's any other little tasky items on there, you know, try to get as much of that done as you can. And of course, if I didn't get it done, I just went through and made a circle on that checklist. And I kept all of my missions like in the front of my binder so that when I did find myself with a little bit of extra time for execution, I could easily go back to the checklists and be like, okay, what haven't I done yet? So don't feel horrified if you haven't gotten through every single checkbox on the missions as we move through this. Just figure out some way that works really well for you to keep track of what you have and have not done, so that when you have a little extra space in your life, you can go ahead and implement, you know, get some more things checked off the list. Okay, so let's go back one slide, Paris, if we could. So the answer to the second question on page 7, you guys, really plays well into our conversation around 6 personal perspectives. And there's many, many answers. None of you had a wrong answer for what makes successful real estate agents more successful. But the one that I didn't hear yet is daily, consistent lead generation. It is really, it's the one thing for a realtor that makes your business grow. And it's not just the lead generation portion that actually makes your business grow. The one thing I think, in addition to lead generation, and can be counted as lead generation time. So as you guys are tracking your contacts and your like best practices, right? 3 hours in the morning of solid, like I'm actually focusing on growing the revenue creating portion of my business this morning. What does that look like? It's not just lead generation, but it's like time block for an hour of lead generation, and then spend the next 2 hours in your database and in Paragon or on the county website or whatever, like the other 2 hours are, okay, now that I've made the contact, I'm actually going to enter them into my database, put them on a follow-up plan, put some tasks in place, do the follow-up. So if they've asked me to get them any information, I'm going to put that together, email that to them, put that in the mail, do that thing I said I would do, and put a reminder in my calendar to follow up with that person again in X number of days or a month or whatever. I think that being really, really purposeful leads us to our very first conversation in the 6 personal perspectives around self-mastery. Like, lead generation cannot be a hit or miss thing in your business unless you want your actual revenue and your results to be hit or miss. So, and I would say, and Gary Keller obviously says in this book that that is the one thing that sets realtors apart who stay in the real estate industry long-term, is the commitment to daily lead generation. Why don't all agents do this? What do you think?
You don't like to.
Yeah. Is it like super exciting stuff? It's really sexy, right?
I also think I don't know where to start. I mean, I am brand new, but how do I begin? Who do I call?
Right.
I think it can be maybe uncomfortable too. Like the mindset piece is where I'm having to like change my mindset because like this is not MLM or anything like that, right? But I have friends that I've like quit following them because they're really pushing their stuff on me. I don't want their makeup. I don't want their jewelry. And I have to remind myself that this is not that. Like, I don't have to feel uncomfortable just putting myself out there and keeping myself, at the top of people's minds for when they choose to sell or buy a home. I'm not pushing them to sell or buy their home. I just want them to know that I can help them when they're ready. And I'm having a hard time getting over that hurdle, I guess. So,
yeah. Well, that's really great feedback. And I appreciate you being transparent and vulnerable in saying that, like your personal struggle and your path, right? Because you've been doing this for a few weeks. Maybe a few of you have been doing this for a few months or a few weeks. And it's like, yeah, you kind of are getting a feel for it. But you're right. There's a lot of reasons why people don't do it consistently. And for exactly those reasons, right? Like, it's hard. It's scary. Like, I'm not skilled at doing it, so it feels awkward. All of those things. However, it does feel a lot less awkward to the person receiving the conversation from you that is like what we call lead generation. They call like professionalism, being consultative, like showing up, being available, all of those things, being human, like caring. So I just want you to be careful with your mindset on, yes, you do need to have execution around lead generation every single day. And ultimately it is the activity that will grow your revenue. And it doesn't sound like, hi, want to sell a house? Want to buy a house? Hi, want to sell a house? Want to buy, like, that's not what it sounds like. It actually it sounds like you being like the most true version of yourself and just showing up in a little bit more professional light to the folks that know and love you so that you can be there for them when they're ready to do real estate. That's the most important part about lead generation, of course, and then being organized and having self-mastery. So let's go over these 6 personal perspectives, and then we will move into the next activity. So the first perspective is self-mastery. Second is the 80-20 principle. The third is moving from E to P, which means moving from an entrepreneurship to purposeful. Number 4 is being learning-based. 5, no limiting beliefs, and 6, accountability. And you can see the picture in the middle. I was just gonna say, it's like, it's basically the perfect storm of all of these things. And you don't have to be firmly planted in each one all the time, but you see how it kind of comes together. Your approach to life, your attitudes, and your mindset. And when they are in alignment in some way, shape, or form, well, you're kind of like, your business results are standing like right in the center of that Venn diagram. Like, that's the sweet spot. And it just comes out of like, in every moment of your life, like taking the opportunity to be open to, how can I be more purposeful today? How can I make sure that my attitude is in alignment for being learning based and coachable? You know, how am I thinking about this activity going into it? Like, am I giving myself limiting beliefs? Am I making sure that I'm accountable to someone by celebrating my wins, like with them after I've had a really great phone call? Am I committed to self-mastery by not giving myself any excuse why not to do it today? And am I being real with myself, knowing that it's really only the 20% of my day that will get me 80% of my income this year? And if you can grab a hold of that concept, it's like, wow, why would I ever not do it? Because that's cool. What that means for you in your life is, you don't have to punch a 9 to 5 time clock. Like, you can show up, and if you do your lead generation for the day, like, the rest will take care of itself. So, and then moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful just means have a plan, know your numbers, execute on what you said you wanted to do in your business, make sure that it's something you can implement, and do the steps to implement it each week and move your business forward. Any questions or comments, thoughts around the 6 personal perspectives? Someone who hasn't shared yet.
One set of 2 60-inchers.
I'll say something. So I'm very, very new to this. I've had my license for 3 years, done nothing. Literally, it's just been more of like, I did it, and it wasn't at the time for me something I could really commit to. But I've always wanted to have my license. I recently got laid off in December. And so when you're talking financial, it's kind of weird for me because I definitely was hitting my financial goal with my last job, but like a lot of people, I wasn't there. You know, I did it because I love the money. I didn't love what I did, but I made a lot of money at it. And so I've had to kind of like step back and reevaluate my goals for this career, I feel like. And I think the one thing I struggle with the most is fear. I'm not an outgoing person at all. So the lead generation, like I start getting anxiety about it. But the one thing I just wrote down for myself is, why not me? Why can't I be successful in this? Why can't I reach other financial goals through this? And I think for me, it's just like keep reminding myself and putting things in front of me that I can do this, and I just need to hold myself accountable. But I think the lead generation part is definitely for me like the scariest part. I mean, I look at my friends list, I'm like, it's really sad that I live here. I'm from here, but I've moved away and come back, but I don't feel like I have a lot of friends here. So I'm struggling with, how do I get myself back out there? How do I network again and find those contacts, find that lead generation, I guess.
Yeah. Well, be of good courage, my dear, because I want to tell you a short story about a coaching client who launched actually last quarter, and she is kicking butt and taking names with 3 buyers shopping, and she's actually taken 2 listings, one in December and one in January, which will be coming to market very soon, but she's gotten 2 listing contracts signed. And these were not from her sphere of influence or family members. Like she started, she took Ignite and launched, and she's like, I'm going to call for sale by owners. And she was like, I'm doing it. She showed up at the script practice. She practiced the scripts, and she was doing for sale by owners, and she was getting nowhere with that one particular type of lead generation. And of course, we coach her to, hey, focus on, like, pick your 1 or 2 top things, focus on those, and then you can, you know, measure it, do it for a while, measure it. So we have this conversation after 1 quarter, and I'm like, are you getting measurable results? And she's like, no, I feel like so discouraged. I'm not getting anywhere. And I said, okay, well, let's like take a look at the market, do some changes, let's tweak, pivot, you know, try this. And so she did. Literally, like, we had the conversation one night, she made the change, and what she did was just created a Christmas card. Essentially, it was very close to Christmas time. She created a Christmas card, put a market report inside, put her business card inside, and she door knocked in a safe way by just showing up and leaving the cards on the door, and then knocking and standing back on the sidewalk. But she did it in a neighborhood, and she got her first listing that way. And then the other one was by just following up on Facebook. She got herself into some local community groups, and she just kept scanning for every day, just checking to see if an opportunity presented itself. And sure enough, it did. And she got into direct messaging with that person who she had no idea from Adam who they were, complete stranger. And she just signed that listing contract yesterday, in fact. So be of good cheer. Like, you can do this, and we will teach you how all along the way. But the most important thing is going into it knowing that the activities you do will give you results, and only if you actually do them. So you got to do them, right? So.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Okay, awesome. So one thing about self-mastery, I know I'm really kind of focusing in on this one a lot, because to me, I guess in my life, personally, I feel like self-mastery is the one thing. You know, Gary Keller talks a lot about the one thing. You'll hear the verbiage fling around in our corporate, like in our environment, just everyone kind of our language, right? What's your one thing? Like, what's the one thing you're doing today? But what it means really is, what's the most important thing? Not that there is only one thing, but what's the most important thing? And to me, of the 6 personal perspectives, even though we do need to have all 6 and practice them and try to incorporate them in our lives, if we don't start with self-mastery and really do the self-mastery part, the rest of it just kind of like, meh, you know? So self-mastery, can someone read for me on page 10? There is like a great explanation of what it is, along with 3 main like skills that are a part of self-mastery.
I'd be happy to, Shauna.
Great.
Self-mastery is the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you. When you commit to achieving self-mastery, you 1, know your goals, 2, know your strengths and weaknesses, and 3, know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses to seek and master the necessary knowledge, skills, and habits to reach your goals.
Absolutely. So I love this actually, because sometimes it's kind of scary to like take inventory of your strengths and weaknesses, right? Because I think as humans, we just want to be good at what we're doing. And it doesn't feel good to not be very good at things. But that's part of self-mastery, right? It's like being okay, being vulnerable enough to just write it down if you're not good at it. And allowing yourself enough grace to like, don't beat yourself up about not being good. Let's get you some skills, right? So that is the third thing. It's like, okay, well, know your goals. Awesome. Know yourself. Very important. And then, you know, build a plan to work with your strengths, which is like, right, lead with your strengths, start on those things first, things you're strong at, leverage that, and dedicate time to honing your skill in the areas where you're a little weaker. If that is an area that's important to be successful in real estate, like some of you have said, like, I'm really nervous about lead generation. You know, I don't like people very much, or like, I don't know, like it just feels weird or it feels awkward. Well, that's okay. That you know that about yourself, then you should probably be the guy that shows up or the gal that shows up to script practice every single day at 8 a.m. Because you need to get that funk off of you. And the only way you're going to do that is by really getting in there and practicing it. So Okay, good. Give me a thumbs up or like a smiley face in the chat box if everybody is still with me, because I don't get to see all your awesome faces. I'm on my cell phone today. Awesome. Okay. So the rest of these, E to P, we kind of went over this already, so I'm skipping ahead. Paris, if you could go to the action reveal slide, that would be amazing. Okay, so KW email address. Basically, show of hands in the chat box. Yes, would be great if you have your KW email address. Just everybody type in the chat box. Okay, perfect. I only saw a couple of no's, so that's really, really excellent. For those of you who answered no, make sure and follow up with the Agent Services Division or your MCA or your DFI to figure out why not and how can you move that forward, because you'll want to have that set up pretty darn quick. Number 2 is, let's talk about note cards. Show of hands really quick on if you're already established with note cards, you've got them and you're intending to use them during your lead generation time. Excellent. So this idea around note cards is it's super cool to use them, because how often do you get a handwritten note in the mail? Like from anyone that you know? Not very often. So, well, the cool thing is no matter what kind of lead generation you're doing, if you can get to a point in the conversation where you can get their address, just sending a simple thank you note with a thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me today about XYZ, like whatever you were talking about. Like, hey, in the future, like I'm sending you maybe 3 or 4 business cards so you can keep them in your wallet in the future. I know we talked about you keeping your eyes and ears open for referrals when you send them my way. Here's a few business cards so you can do that. And remember, I'm only a text message away, whatever. Like you could just write them a little note, but seriously, it's very cool because not a lot of people do that. And it will just give you a leg up on your professionalism and staying top of mind and like having an emotional, like them having an emotional reaction to you in relationship to your real estate business. Those note cards are important. So, okay. And then the Ignite page on KW Connect, you can totally go to that. Although our Agent Services Division has made it very, very easy for you to be able to go right to your Ignite materials without getting like lost in big KW world. So what I would say is those of you taking notes, please write down this web address. It's kwtechhelp.com. And Paris, if you wanted to also throw it in the chat box, that would be awesome. kwtechhelp.com. It's the simplest website to run because there's no searching for anything. There's tabs across the top. That'll get you to anything that you need to really like just cut out all of the wasted time searching. Like you will get what you need there. There's an Ignite tab with a link to all of the coaches in there. There's a link to the classroom in there. There's a link to the, Morgan and Jet are super nice and helpful. They're very supportive and they are like super organized. So like, if I ever had I so wish it was actually a thing when I onboarded. My onboarding was like a little bit more confusing because I was kind of just like going, trying it on my own. And yes, there was a checklist and yes, I made it to the end of the checklist, but I checked out their website a few months back when they launched it. And I was like, wow, this website is dialed in. This is awesome. So you guys should really live there. There's another tab for our network training calendar. So there's a link to the script practice call, literally right there on the training calendar. That training calendar is compatible with like iPhone, like iCalendar and Gmail and all of that. So you can actually go in there and add any of those trainings to your own personal calendar if you want to just work on your own time management and self-mastery in that way. So check it out. Explore that website tonight. Spend some time in there and get comfortable, because it'll be kind of like your home base. And I think it'll be really helpful for you. Okay. And videos. What is the one thing, Gary? So, okay. Paris, you'll have to help me here because I'm actually on this slide and I'm not sure if it's prompting you to play a video or not. Like it just says videos and then it goes into kind of a conversation we've already had. So was there a video that we needed to watch here?
Is it the script one that we were talking about? Maybe. I don't
Normally
have...
when I'm running the slides, it kind of like prompts to play the video. So I'm scrolling forward really quick to see.
All I have is right here, but I can.
Nope, it's not until later. So don't worry about it. I'll just skip through it.
Okay.
So yep, we're not going to talk about videos because I have no idea why that bullet point made its way onto that slide. So essentially there are videos to watch throughout Ignite. Most of them live in the missions that you can find in your homework. And then we do have some that are in class. So next, big why. We have our first activity, and this is a fun one. You want to go to page 19 for me. And at the top of the page, it should say, know your big why and your monetary goals. And there's some questions. I would love to have a dialogue about this. Essentially, the first question is, what drives you is not only your mindset and your attitude, but what are you passionate about? What stirs your soul? Why are you in business? And what do you hope to achieve for yourself and your family? Some of you actually started to share this at the beginning because you are already like making a passionate connection between your work and your life. And for others, it's not as easy to get there. So, anyone have thoughts? Did anyone have like a visceral reaction to any of those questions as you're starting to think about that? What stirs your soul? Like that's kind of an intimate, personal question, right?
I'll go.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving a career in teaching. And, you know, I would say that what really stirs me is just helping people. And, you know, of course, you go into a career like teaching to be able to help young people. And for a long time, I felt really filled up by that until I didn't. And until I felt really depleted. So I'm excited to be able to do this because I feel like it's something where my hard work will translate into financial opportunities, and where I'm still getting to have an impact on people, but in a way that I can, I guess I have a little more control over.
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome. Anyone else?
I have actually kind of a similar perspective as well. I've worked for the last 20 years in social research in support roles, and almost all of my time is spent kind of helping out peripherally people through the process, getting research funded, getting participants to participate in recruiting them, and in some way kind of helping them in the big picture, but not really having as much of a direct help other than my relationships with them. But it's government-based grant funding, the jobs go up and down, and there was no stability. And over time, I had to get up to four jobs at once, you know, kind of trying to make ends meet while still feeling like I was part of a bigger, you know, helpful collaborative community.
Yeah.
And so this is really something that it speaks to me because I love the idea. I bought my first home when I was 22, and I know how life-changing that was. And the idea of being able to make relationship connections with people, but also have that same control and be able to really kind of be the captain of my own ship and my destiny, and being able to reach my financial goals, not just my personal and community-based goals.
Yeah. That's awesome. Does anyone else want to share?
Shauna?
Yeah.
I would say also that I just lost my thought. Oh, so when you're, and I think, you know, real estate is a personal service type of industry, but when you help somebody that needs your help, like how we feel scared about making phone calls and doing lead generation, some people feel this way about selling their house or buying a house, and they're overwhelmed and they don't know who to trust to help them. And you can be that person for them. It's really gratifying to be the one that makes them feel comfortable and they're very happy with it at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's huge to have something that you're very, very passionate about. And I think probably for me, this exercise was one of the most difficult things for me to do. And I had a wonderful mentor and teacher who taught this class to me when I launched, who really challenged me to think deeper and like go a little more internal. Because I'm a very logical thinker. Like, yes, I can be a passionate person and all of that warm and fuzzy optimism stuff, but at the end of the day, like, I'm a logical thinker. But with logic, sometimes comes the inability to actually like do the right thing on the hard day. You know what I mean? So, my big why has absolutely zero to do with real estate. My big why is 100% around my kids and my financial goals and my legacy that I'm leaving for them. Essentially, when I went really deep on this idea about know your big why, it changed my life about real estate, about any job that I did. In fact, by the time I got done with the exercise, I was like ready to basically just take over the world. Like, you know what I mean? So I knew I had found it. But to me, I was raised like very poor financially. We didn't have money. There were actually lots of seasons in my life and my childhood when we were living in tents, like in the woods or small trailers. And we didn't have, not only were we not raised with a good mindset around money, as far as like just being responsible and knowing what to do with it. It was so far out of reach for us that I never even imagined having it in my life. And I think launching into an adult life with that mindset was certainly a challenge, if not damaging in some way to my ability to get results. And, you know, there was a lot of stuff in my childhood that I just like, I knew when I turned 18, I actually left. I was not living with my parents by the time I was 17 because I was so like ready to just be in charge of my own destiny. But it was very much like well, whatever that was, like I want the exact opposite. Let's just put it that way, you know? So like my whole life, like that was my driving purpose, which I actually hadn't connected to. There was no real specific thing because I didn't know what I didn't want. I just knew what I didn't want. Like I had no idea what I did want or how to get it, and no concept around money or success or anything. Like I just knew I didn't want to do that. So then fast forward however many 15 years, And I had successful, like a pretty successful career at FedEx, got my degrees, and it was just part of like that path of self-development for me. But when I did this exercise, I realized like, actually my big why is breaking a generational curse of poverty in my family. And not just of poverty, but of like lack of education and lack of being like open to a world that you can do anything in or be anyone in. And so that became my big why. Like, I'm going to teach my kids that they can do what they want to do. And I'm going to teach them how. Like, not only will I give them the mindset, but I'm going to deliver the technical skills. So that became my huge driving force. And I have 3 kids. So as soon as I figured that one out, it was really super easy to just connect that to the daily tasks in my business. And it became very like, okay, just make a list. These are the technical tasks. Here's my business plan. I'm going to do this every day. And the reason why is because I'm breaking this generationally in my family, and I'm leaving a legacy for my family so that no one else has to do that work. Like, that was it. Anyhow, that was a heavy revy. So I'll leave you with that. As we move into the activity, I want you to really go internal. Don't just think about kind of what moves you as far as like warm and fuzzies around actual real estate activities. Like, I would try to pull really deep on this one and see if you can come up with something that's not necessarily related to real estate, but that real estate could really fund and make a big difference in your life. And if you can get there, I think it'll really help you on the tougher days. Like when, you guys were saying earlier where, oh, well, sometimes it's just that you need like to stick to it more longer, or you need to like have a great mindset. Yes, all of those things are very real and very right. And this big why exercise will be the one thing, the important thing that you can kind of anchor your mindset back to when everything else doesn't feel very warm and fuzzy. So.
Yeah, I thank you for sharing all that, by the way. And that's makes me want to work harder just to help you, right? So I appreciate that. And I love what everyone's saying about helping other people. And at first my thought was, well, I love to travel. What really gets me going is creativity and writing and art and travel. But I do like helping people. But like you said, when you're sitting there staring at your computer for that 3 days of lead gen, and I'm saying, I want to go on a European vacation for 2 weeks next summer, what's going to get me to make those phone calls? Now, of course, generational change with your kids works too, I guess. But
yeah,
right. A trip, right? I love to travel, and I think that's what gets me going. So I think in this exercise, I decided I would speak up just because I think it's not selfish to have a monetary reason or what makes you excited. It's about getting that excitement going to make you make those phone calls.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And there is monetary, like mine's all about money, really. I mean, yeah, there's a warm and fuzzy idea about this whole change in mindset. But if you think about it, I've already thought like, okay, well, I need to at least make 6 figures, and I'm putting this much here because I'm going to invest in real estate so that when I get to retirement age, I can actually hand my kids a real estate portfolio and say like, this is your passive income, go chase your passion. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's all monetary. Everybody's probably will be and have like a large portion of monetary. But you're right. It is the one thing that will drive you to do the activity. So if yours is you're really passionate about traveling, then yeah, because it's got to be an emotional thing that will move you to action. It doesn't have to be as heavy as mine, certainly. And for each of you, it will be different. So I'm glad that you spoke up. Thank you for that. And
Anna,
yes,
I was going to share, for me, when I joined Keller Williams 2 years ago as a DFI, I'd never worked in an industry where there was opportunity for the freedoms that real estate provides. So when I first got introduced to the question of what's your big why 2 years ago, I struggled. I really had a hard time thinking of work and enjoying working and making a career, because for me, in the example of my life, it had always been, you clock into a job and you clock out of a job. There's, a limited amount of money you can make in a limited amount of time, and success was just working hard and doing the things expected of you. So
Right.
with all this, it's really exciting for me that I have actually sat down and taken the time to think about what excites me, what makes me passionate, what are some goals. Because I've as an adult, I don't think before coming to Keller Williams I had ever been faced with putting monetary goals on careers, or putting just that question out there at all. It was just kind of going through life day by day and not really knowing where I was going. And now it's things like wanting to help.
Oh, I just lost your audio, hun.
Is out there for me. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you for sharing. I lost the very last tail end of your audio. I think somehow my phone must have switched over to Wi-Fi or done something funky with the connection, but
I think that was global because I lost it too. It was about
Oh.
maybe the last 15 seconds or so.
yeah, it was like the tail end. So essentially, but you're saying like this exercise was impactful in your life because before you were basically just showing up and doing what you knew you needed to do, but it wasn't like a purposeful thing for you.
Yeah, I was just going through the motions and just doing, waking up, going to work, coming home, eating dinner, hanging out with, people in my life. And I never said, oh, hey, like I want to go on a trip. I need to save this much. I need to have these goals. I want to buy a house. I never thought about just things in the
Right. I lost your audio again. Your signal must be coming in and out. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. So let's get down to business on this. I'm sure you guys have been working on it in the background. So instead of setting the timer for 15 minutes, let's do 10. And this is like a journaling activity. So you want to try to answer these questions and write it down. What stirs your soul? Why you feel like, hi sister, you're in real estate, and what you hope to achieve for yourself and your family. And then from the answers to these questions, you can develop your big why, kind of, chunk it down into a statement. And I would write this down and stick it on your wall, in front of your computer, on your, screensaver for your phone, all of the things. Like put it in front of you everywhere so that it can help remind you. Yeah, so you're not getting sidetracked. Good. So 10 minutes. I'll come back at Paris. What's our clock say? Do you
Like the time?
Mm-hmm.
2:32.
2:32. Okay, so we'll be back at 2:42. In the meantime, you guys answer these 3 questions and then do a little self-evaluation and see if you can come up with a big why statement, and be prepared to share when we get back. All right, how'd we do? Am I on time? I have no clock in this room, so.
Yes, you are. Perfect timing.
Perfect.
1 minute.
Awesome. Great. Okay, guys, how'd we do? Let's get some shares on what we came up with. Hello? Anybody out there? How about Tyler Brown? How'd you do, Tyler Brown?
I did all right. What I wrote was that I'm in the business, or I'm in this business to secure my independence so I can help other people from a stable position. Because it's one thing I found for myself is I really enjoy helping people, but helping people when I'm not feeling particularly stable myself is a difficult proposition. So getting my own
You
independence.
just moved, right? You uprooted.
Mhm.
Okay. And what does secure your independence mean for you?
It doesn't honestly take a lot. It's just living out on my own, not really, worrying about keeping a roof over my head or food on the table, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Need a
absolutely.
glamorous lifestyle or anything like that. Never really been one for that anyway. But I want to be able to help people, and I'm best able to do that when I'm not worried about taking care of myself.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's part of like the hierarchy of needs. Are you familiar with that? Yeah. Like, so absolutely. The first thing is, shelter, food, water, security, safety. And then you get into like the self-fulfillment and actualization parts, right? Building a career, having some monetary goals. So the cool thing is they're not mutually exclusive. You can do them both at the same time, as long as you do it looks to me like you're in a warm, dry spot right now.
Correct. Yes, and I do them both at the same time. I'm a lot less stressed when I have all of my needs taken care of when I'm doing them both.
Absolutely. So please make sure that you're building a support system for that. I know that that's a struggle and it's a real journey. I've been right there with you. So reach out if you don't have local. How long have you been here?
I've been here for a few months now. I moved back here in September from Tennessee, and I am fortunate enough to where I do have a pretty good support system.
Good.
Plenty of struggles to deal with here too, but I do have a good support system.
That's excellent. So yeah, and definitely plug in and build some relationships in real estate too with your colleagues, and take the time to go grab a drink or go whatever, like hang out in one of those tents right now that are like blowing around in the wind because it's Oregon and it's stormy. But I did that last night and it was like very refreshing and it helps. So like do that personal self-care as you're going along here. And thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. It sounds pretty nice.
So who else? Avery, how'd yours go?
Yeah, I submitted my why. Oops. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, good. Yeah, I submitted my why a while ago when I did the first thing, but I think that it really came down to just wanting something.
Did you get that feedback? I got that. That was weird.
Who's that?
I was getting some feedback on the line.
Weird. Yeah, that was weird. Anyways, it really came down to coming from a background of food and beverage. I just wanted something that was going to change my career. As we know, food and beverage has taken a toll. It's not going to come back for a long time. And being a food and beverage director, coming from Vegas and moving here 4 years ago, there was just this crossroads that I had a friend in real estate for the last 10 years, kind of been bugging us. He said, hey, it's one of the most stable things that you can possibly do within the volatile times that we live in and throughout our entire life. So my wife and I just really sat down and we're like, you know what, let's make a career change. It's not too late. We're still young, so let's make it happen. And happy where I'm at. So, our why really came down to where do we want to be financially free? Not going to a job 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, and not really reaping too many benefits out of it other than a pretty big check. But big checks don't always give you that self-satisfaction of freedom.
Yeah. So if you had to put it in a sentence, what do you think your big why would be?
I gotta look it up really quick.
Oh, you're like, oh yeah, I did it, and it's not
Well,
in front of
I
me.
did. I submitted when they put all that email out like a month ago, and they said, "Hey, send us our whys for the board
Yeah.
for the wall."
Uh-huh.
So let me look it up while you go to the next person, and I'll come back. But I have
That's
it.
cool. Sorry to put you on the spot, but you're
Not at
awesome.
all.
Thank you.
It's totally fine.
Okay. Okay. Who's next? One more share for sharing your big why.
I'll go. Oh.
Yep.
Either or, I don't care.
Well, mine's a little rough and I still need to work it out, but I have a career in real estate to build a financial war chest to leave a full retirement, leave a legacy to my kids, travel the world, and open a jazz club with my sweetie, which is sitting right here next to me. So
Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty fabulous. I can see that being a big why. I feel pretty motivated by your why.
I would probably have a more dollar, but the thing is they say about these is that as your career changes, your goals change. So I was hesitant to say I want to make X amount of money, but I have in my own mind what a war chest, which keeps it fun, is
A war chest,
I want to build wealth, right? And you said it through rentals and through property, but also to have the kind of retirement where I'm not just living on what the government gives me every month. I want to have enough money that we can travel, like I said, be creative, write that book, compose that, whatever. Want to do that stuff, but to get there, we've got 15 to 20 years. She has a little bit longer than I do, but 15 to 20 years to really build this kind of war chest of happiness to kind of finish things off and then give back to the community, that kind of stuff.
Well, awesome. And that's a beautiful thing. And I just want you to know, like, we'll move into, you know, business planning, knowing your monetary goal has like nothing to do with your big why. And so I love that you didn't put a number on it, because your big why actually should be able to travel with you into the future quite a bit. So yours is great because it's very forward looking, big picture. It's visceral for you, as far as I'm sure it stirs some emotion. And that's the real important connection, is it needs to be something that really stirs you to action. And there's nothing better than something that gets you emotional, you know, your big why. So, and in life, you'll hear this in Bold. If any of you have taken Bold yet, or, you know, looking forward to taking Bold the next time it launches, please do so. They teach you, there's like quite a bit of mindset work in Bold. And one of the things that it taught me is that folks either move away from pain or they move towards pleasure. And sometimes they're doing both, right? Simultaneously moving away from pain and towards pleasure. And that is, for some of us, how we get to our big why. Like mine was definitely moving away from pain and moving towards, it had to be towards pleasure. And so it was specific. I had to create a vision of what it could be. But it certainly had an element of moving away from pain. But both of those things played into what grounded me emotionally to be able to strive to my goal. So
I have to agree with that. I found my why.
Awesome.
That I had set. Yeah. So it's basically all those thoughts, as you said, put together, and I did the same thing. Had to ground it down to what made sense and it's important to write it out. So I said, I'm here to create a higher quality life for my family, friends, and the community, embracing service to others, which will in turn develop financial freedom for my family and pass down through legacy for generations to come. So it was basically just taking all the thoughts that I had initially started with and incorporating something that, as she put, a little more grounded.
that's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. And it's super succinct, right? It was like, but it means something to you. And if I was a betting gal, I would bet that when you read it to yourself, you can get some imagery of what you're moving away from and what you're moving toward. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A matter of fact, I'll show you something that my wife and I are firm believers in. I don't know if you guys can see this at all.
Well, you've got a virtual background on, so it's just kind of like,
Let me see if I can turn it off. anyways, what it is, it's a board and it's a vision board. And
Yay!
yeah, so my wife and I are big on those kind of things because we know that everything's possible. And we've done vision boards before. And if you haven't done a vision board, I totally would encourage everybody here to look it up because it'll really put it in perspective. And what you put out in life is what you're going to get back.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a perfect time of year to be doing a vision board too. So yeah, absolutely. So you guys make a note that this exercise is on page 19. If you don't feel like you made very good progress and you want to spend some more time on it, you know, circle back around and continue working on it. Continue creating it until you feel like you've landed in a place where it's definitely something that's like moves you in the correct direction. Because that's what you're going to need to hold on to on the rough days, the days that you don't want to do lead generation, or the days that you take that listing appointment and it doesn't exactly go the way you thought, or it goes a little sideways, and you can get, those are the moments in real estate when you can start to get discouraged about your results. And those are the moments that you need to reframe your mindset and reach back down into your big why and just move on to the next opportunity. Good. Okay, let's talk about monetary goal. So we are on page 23 for this exercise. And how many of you already did business planning? Like kind of already have an idea of your unit count and your monetary goals? You do, sounds like. Who else? Give me go ahead and go into the chat box for me. Give me a yes for you have your monetary goal, and give me a not yet or a question mark for I don't even know where to begin. I'm seeing a lot of yeses, so that's excellent. There's one no. Yes-ish. Okay, perfect. Not yet. Okay, awesome. So for the not yet, actually a good majority of this group already has an idea about their monetary goal. So we won't camp here, but we are going to go through this. So on page 23, Tori, if you could start us out, would you just go ahead and read through page 23?
Yes. First, you must have a goal. What is your annual monetary goal? Now that you know your big why, what will it take to fund your life and your big why? Write your annual monetary goal down here.
Okay, perfect. So this may take some noodling, you guys, and just some quick numbers, you know, round up so that you're not underestimating. But that big why gives you kind of a bit of a vision about what you're doing. And of course, like you've got to chunk it down. So if your big why had, like in your imagination, well, when I retire, I want to have 20 income properties, then you have to have some thought about, well, how many years do I have until I retire? If I have 10 years until I retire, then that means 20 divided by 10. I need to buy 2 income properties a year. Or if it's more like I want to have 20 income properties completely paid off by the time I retire, then of course you'd want to buy maybe 4 a year and then put them on 15-year loans and work on, you know, getting them paid down before you retire. So those are the kind of things where that'll give you a better idea about the how much. It's all of the extra pieces of your vision that you got to put kind of a dollar sign to. And then you also need to add some dollar signs for your regular like living and your regular like business operating expenses. Cool. And the note underneath, starting to go in that, also remember to include taxes and expenses as you consider your monetary goal. So it's kind of that. Okay, Tori, go ahead and read the next section for me.
Helps if that click actually works. Okay, so now that you have written down your monetary goal, let's look at what it takes to achieve this amount by calculating the average commission on each house bought or sold. Do you want me to read that little box there?
This is an example. Yep. But everyone can see on page 23, there's like an example of the average sales price, a commission rate, and the average commission. So what I would do here is everyone's in a different market. So if we could get in the chat box, if you could please type in the average sales price for your market if you know it. And if you don't know it, please put a like where you're at and a question mark. Okay, perfect. So Paris, you are on Mara Gregory's team, and I understand you're located in Bend. Is that correct? And she's in Eugene. Yep. But do you have a good idea of what the average price point for the Eugene market would be, or Springfield, Eugene kind of area?
Let me look it up.
Awesome, thank you.
Of course.
And for those of you who are in Salem, our average price point is, well, the median is $365, and I would say that my average is still running a little bit lower than that. So when I do my own business planning in the Salem market, I'm using like 300,000 to 295,000 because I always like to monetarily plan to be a little conservative. That way, you know, if I do better than that, like it's a big exciting news and not like, oh, I totally missed my goal by $20,000 this year. How did that happen? Right? So cool. So that's the next thing. So if your average, Paris, did you put it in the chat box?
Yeah, Jeff's chatting with us and he's correct for Lane County.
What was the number?
Like 365 average.
Like 365. So Jeff, when you're doing your business plan, like I might go just a little under 365, like maybe do a 325 or a 350. And then when you do your average commission rate, maybe instead of 3%, do like a 2.75. That way in the calculation, you're going to get a conservative average commission rate. Does that make sense? And then for you, Tori, like when you're doing yours, like I would use 295,000 or 300,000, and then multiply it by that 2.75 commission rate, just in case you do like close a few deals that only pay you 2.5, and then you've got some 3s or 3.5, whatever. So you get kind of an average deal, and then use that as your average commission. Okay. Any questions on that part? Okay, perfect. Now,
where are we getting the three? I'm sorry, but I'm looking at the RMLS, and I'm just curious where we're getting the high price point for Lane County. I live here, so I'm just curious. I understand like in Mountain Gate or if we're like certain sections, but Lane County in general is only running around 296 to 336.
It's possible that you're polling for the entire county and it's taking into consideration rural and land listings as well, which would drive that average price point down. So it just depends on what you're going to focus on in your own business too. Like I wouldn't necessarily take the statistics for an entire market segment, including every single Bearland listing for my business, because I have no intentions of doing Bearland or representing buyers for Bearland. I think it's like a pain for the income that it provides. So I kind of avoid that. Yeah.
Right. And before you came on this morning, Mara was sharing the email we just got today from RMLS. If you click on Lane County, right on that first page, right in the middle, it says percent 12-month sales price compared with previous 12 months. And that's where I just grabbed that from. But she also showed how you can go down to areas of Lane County and find out
Yes.
the average price for that particular, you know, Ferry Street Bridge or whatever area that you're going to focus your business on.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
that's,
that
market
reporting may only have been like actual residential resale reporting too. Like, I don't know if it was taking every single real estate transaction or if it was just taking like your basic residential numbers. So I know that property that has a house already built on it will obviously be higher than one that needs
Yeah,
improvement.
Mara really encouraged us all to use 275 because she just wanted us all to be conservative. She said use
Conservative.
2.75 commission, and
Good.
as you do deals, you can adjust it based on your average. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that's good advice. That's how I do my business planning too, because ultimately at the end of the day, you have to create activities around the goals. And if you're conservative, it gives you a higher unit count goal, which will then in turn around and give you like a higher appointment count goal. And if you're only focusing on the front end, like your lead measure, your activity, which is the appointment count, and you know that you've set your goals to basically blow it out of the water, then at that point, it doesn't matter what price that appointment that you close for is, you've gotten one step closer to your ultimate goal for the year. So, and then it's cool because it's like, if you know in your head your goal is 275 and you've just taken a listing that you're listing at 385, you're like, bam, that's 1.5 times what you know what I mean? So you're like, yes, gives you a little energy, you know, towards the goal. So does that make sense, Tori? Any more questions? And do you have the resources to work through pages 23, 24, 25, and 26 to get to your like real solid income goal? Okay, so let's take maybe 5 minutes to finish up this activity, because it sounds like the majority of you already have it done. And Tori, the main calculations for you will be on that page 26. And if you have any questions at all that we don't cover in class, you can always reach out.
What is the price per transaction for the coaching fee?
It's 15%.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I would do maybe in doing your calculations, because it has you calculating for your market center cap and all of that. So you can do a 15% with your average transaction and then just multiply that number that you get by 6 to get the total. And that'll get you pretty close.
Shona, what's our
Yes.
cap? What's our cap? Did you tell me 18?
Is that Debbie? Who's that talking?
Sorry. It's me.
Yes, in Salem. It is 18.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay. Anybody need a few more minutes on this?
You want to mute yourself? Sorry, Shauna, that was me. We're trying to figure this out. I have a spreadsheet, MRA spreadsheet that has
Yeah.
the percents. Do you want me to throw this in the chat? Because it's a huge tool and it's awesome for people that love spreadsheets.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we, do you have just like a link to one that you've got in a Google Drive, or Paris, do we have that one that we use for our business planning resources? Like, have they all received that already? I think that you guys do that in your orientation days. So
Okay, never mind.
seems like everybody should have one already.
Yeah, I think, do you guys have something else other than what you're working on now?
Yeah, we do. It's an Excel doc.
Yeah, let me, I was thinking Mara might have sent it out, but if not, I'll send it out later today.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so for those of you who are tech savvy and would like something to help you do the calculations, the Excel doc is very good for that. And there's tabs along the bottom.
Yeah.
One of the tabs is a budget model tab. It's aligned to the actual models of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. So it's great in business planning. When you're trying to calculate your other business expenses, you can actually kind of look up on the chart and see, like, if, hey, I'm running a business that's closing this many units, like this should be about what my expenses look like. That way you're not recreating the wheel for yourself or guessing. And then the first tab, it like autofill, it will like fill in a lot of the stuff for you monetarily. It does some calculations. And then on the third tab, which is the lead gen model tab, it actually will tell you like, okay, now this is the units. This is how many listings I need to take, how many listings I need to close, like appointments. It kind of breaks it down. So it's very, very cool. Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I feel like I heard something a while ago that we could buy one of those from the office or something like that, or should I just order it online?
If you go to Keller Inc. Online, actually, and I think that KW Tech Help website actually has a link to the MREA materials on Keller Inc. The reason I point you in that direction is because when you buy the book there, there's also like a bunch of digital resources you can download at the bottom of that website, and they're all free resources. So I like use them pretty frequently. And then the other thing that helped me is like I ordered the paper book, but I also went ahead and loaded it on Audible as well. That way I can listen to it while I'm driving or sit down with the book and highlight while I'm hearing it. And so, you know, helps you internalize a lot. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to our next slide here. Lead generation. Okay, can somebody read the saying? This is a quote from Gary Keller that's on the slide now.
For every day you don't lead generate, 90 days later you can expect no money. You don't want this to happen.
Right. Which is so true. So true. So I'll give you an example of this. This year, I actually went in for a major surgery, and I actually felt like my business was doing pretty well. I had like plenty of buyers and sellers in the pipeline. I kind of got them under contract, got them situated with my transaction coordinator. Like everything was well in hand, except for the lead generation piece, because obviously, like I'm going under the knife. Like I'm not doing lead generation. And when I was going back this year and looking at my multi-year trend report, I was like, there was a month this year where I closed 0 deals for that month. And I thought, oh, interesting. And then I was looking back and it was like essentially 90 days from the month that I had gotten that surgery. And I was like on hardcore pain drugs, like not doing lead generation. I thought, wow, look at that. It's like amazing. So it is so true. Okay, so on page 27, the skill number 2 is commitment to daily lead generation. So you've got your big why. you have your monetary goal set, and how do you get from the plan to the actual fulfillment of the plan, right? We do that by doing lead generation. So on page 27, it has an example of like if real estate was a factory. And if you ran the factory, you would know exactly how long it takes to make a widget. You know, 2 hours for step 1, 2 hours for step 2, 2 hours for step 3, 2 hours for step 4, for a grand total of 8 hours. You would also know that if you didn't do step 1, at the end of the day, you would have no widgets. Real estate is no different, essentially. Lead generation is step 1. So you can't do appointments before step 1, or agreements, or contracts, or have any closings. And the total time it says is about 90 days for that client life cycle. Okay, so for every every day that you lead generate, you have an opportunity to close a deal 90 days from that day that you're moving that customer forward in their process. How long on average do you think it takes to get a buyer or a seller to sign a contract for a listing agreement or a sales agreement? Anybody?
60 days.
I heard a 60 days. Anybody else have a different answer? Not that you're wrong, but
I was going to guess about 30 days.
30 days, okay.
I'd go with 45.
45. Okay, great. Well, I think you're all right. It's essentially between anywhere from 1 to 2 months, or 1 day to 60 days. It actually depends on like how ready they are when you get a hold of them, right? Some people are just naturally more ready than others. Some people are not. You got to get them with the lender. You got to do some credit repair, or do some whatever the case may be, pre-qualifying, and there's a few little hiccups. So they got to change some things and then wait for it to report to their credit. Like some things take some time to prepare for. So yeah. And how long does it take for a transaction to close after you like have signed the agreement?
30 to 45 days.
Right
That's
now, is
why
that
do you-
about 45 to 60 now, right now?
Well, it depends, I think. That's a good question. You know, it can be anywhere from 2 weeks to, 60 days, I would say. And it depends on your buyer, like, and their situation. If they're cash, they can close in as little as 2 weeks with a clean title report, right? With conventional loans, it's closer to 30 days. If there's repairs involved, it can push it out to 45 or 60. So it is really kind of depends on each deal. It just depends on if there are repairs, what that timeline looks like, how long is it taking appraisers to get out to the property, how long is it taking the bank to actually get through their process. I know for a minute there we struggled because the banks were getting a ton of refi business and it was just bogging down the process. So it was taking a little bit more time to close deals right when those interest rates dropped. But I think they've kind of balanced out, and there's a lot of lending institutions that were like, providing incentives to do purchases rather than so many refinances, and that kind of helped, So, okay. How quickly do you want to get paid is the next question. Or how long can you actually go without a paycheck? And this one is, for the purposes of today's class, I would say put it in the chat box based on your own personal situation. How long can you actually go without a paycheck right now with your current expenses? . Good. Perfect. Okay, now that we kind of have that, nice. I like that, Tori. Like, this is answer A, answer B. Like, well, how long do you want to go without getting a paycheck? So now that you know how long you could possibly survive without getting one, how long do you want to go without getting a paycheck? Oh, 0 months. Yeah, 0, none. Like, let's get going, right? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So yeah, realistically, if you kind of do that math in your head, and let's just say, like, in a perfect scenario, from the day you start lead generating to the day you close the deal is probably going to be 90 days. So, you know, work your way backwards. If you have 6 months worth of savings, that's wonderful, because then you're going to basically start getting paid in 3 months, and you should actually have a pretty solid pipeline to begin to build a more consistent level of production into the months. That way, when you kind of get to the end or near the end, you will have some solid revenue in your business. So the reason we're having this conversation is because there's got to be a sense of urgency for you, even if you feel very safe about having 6 months or 12 months of savings. Just keep in the back of your mind that, hey, this doesn't happen overnight. If someone says yes to me today, I've got 3 months of work ahead of me. So, and that's only one paycheck. And that's only one paycheck 3 months from now. So even the time you're putting in today, like when you think about it in terms of your money, stretching it, it's like, okay, well, let's say that's a $5,000 paycheck. That seems awesome, but you start dividing that by 3 months, and then what is that really? If you close one deal, it's less than $2,000 a month. So one yes is not good enough, right? You need more than one yes. And that's why we have a sense of urgency and necessity around lead generation. Cool. All right. So what will it take for you to get paid so you can begin to fund your big why? And obviously it's becoming more of a rhetorical question, right? Because we've had a theme throughout class that it's really lead generation every day, building your database of contacts, communicating with the people that you've put in there about real estate daily, and committing to go on a lot of appointments and practice scripts and get better. All right. So Paris, I think we're actually 2 slides ahead now. And I know, is there anyone on the call today that's not part of the PC coaching program and is only here to do the Ignite Power sessions? If that's you, please put a smiley face in the chat box. Okay, so it sounds like for today's call, we actually have all PC coaching clients, which is great, because I know we've already talked about this daily 10-4, but I'll give you a brief opportunity to ask any questions if you're still not clear about the activities. Anybody have questions about this daily 10-4? Awesome, perfect. Next slide, tracker. So I know Mara showed you guys this earlier this week. You can definitely use the tracker. Just go to daily10-4.com. It does look pretty mobile friendly. You can do it on your cell phone. And if this is not your cup of tea for tracking, like, I would just say you need to track. You don't have to track using this, but you do need to track. One thing that I've seen a lot of success with is it just kind of depends on how tactile you are or like what you're doing. So you can track with a sheet. And if you know you need to do 10 contacts a day, well, that's 50 a week. So like a a sheet where you can actually write down the people you talk to, and it's got 50 slots. It's called the Win the Day form, and it actually has a spot for 50 names. And then on the other side, there's like a checkbox of, you know, all the things to do every day to start building that success cycle. So if that's a resource that would be helpful for you, I'll have Paris send it out at the end of the day. Just put a yes in the chat box if you guys want that. And then another quick and easy way, if you are more tech savvy and you don't want the form and the paper to carry around with you, you can go into your app store and use a clicker counter app. They're free normally. And there's some apps, you know, you can check it out, but my clicker counter app that I use, you can have multiple clickers that you're keeping track of. So I have one for contacts and one for appointments and then one for units. So things that I actually get signed that are turning into a piece of business. And those are just the three basically lead measures that I'm wanting to keep track of in my business. And so that way, no matter where I'm at, like I could be, you know, out at the grocery store and get a contact. I could be at home. I could be whatever, like dropping my kids off somewhere. Then I can just click it on my phone and keep track that way. Okay, cool. Next slide. Sales language. This is
Michelle,
all
real
about.
quick, By
Yes,
the way,
sir.
I know this is going back one, but I did find how I can put that file of the MREA tracking spreadsheet. It's in the chat. It is an Excel spreadsheet, but it does have the chart of accounts. It's got the P&L. It's got everything you talked about. It's
Thank you
version
so
2 or
much.
whatever it is. So it is in there if anyone wants to try to get it and download it. It's just an automated way for you to set up what % buyers versus sellers, all the accounts that the MRA goes by, and it's a really great tool.
Thank you, Jeff,
Thank
so
you,
much.
Jeff.
That's super helpful. I really appreciate you doing that. Anyone who needs that, click into your chat box and follow that link. Perfect. Beautiful. Love it. Collaboration.
Sorry, where's the tracker? I'm looking for the
Where-
tracker on my agent site. Is it on the Market Center or the intranet?
This one daily 10-4 tracker.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just literally put in into your browser daily104.com, it will pop up and you can.
Oh, there it goes. Thanks.
Yep.
I think I forgot to type one letter in. Appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Okay, Paris, I think we are ready to play that video, how to use script.
Can you guys see this other screen here? No?
Yep.
Oh, you can?
Or, well, I see the one that says sales language, scripts, watch video. Is that?
Okay, hold on, let me,
Oh, you need to reshare.
yeah, let me just share this real quick here. And you
Okay,
guys
I
can
can
see
see
the
it now.
screen now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, great. You ready?
Ready.
Hi, I'm Jeff Glover, and I'm going to tell you the top 5 things that you need to know about using scripts. Step 1, you're going to need to get your scripts from a top agent of the office, your team leader, a MAPS coach, or of course, Keller Williams University. Step 2, we're going to need to do a total transformation of, instead of talking and telling, of asking questions. Selling isn't telling, selling is asking a series of questions that leads to desired response. So instead of talking so much, we need to get in the habit of asking questions. And asking questions gives us control of the conversation. Control of the conversation gives us our ultimate outcome, which is an appointment set or closing. Step 3, we need to listen with good intentions. Well, what I mean by that is we need to listen to their answers instead of just listening to them talk and asking another question that comes to mind. For example, instead of asking a seller where they're moving to and then going on to the next question, how soon would you like to be there? Ask them, where are you moving to? And when they give you a response, ask them, what takes you there? Step 4 in becoming better at scripts is we need to learn to mimic, mirror, and match the prospect. What I mean by that is we have to listen to their tone of voice. We have to speed up or slow down based on how fast the prospect is talking. That means when they respond and say, we're moving to Toledo. Oh, Toledo, that's exciting. What takes you there? 93% of communication is body language and tonality. And that means only 7% are the words that we say or the questions that we ask. Step 5, we need to take these 5 points and practice them daily. If you think of NFL teams, they practice 50, 60 hours on the practice field for a 1-hour game. Our game is our presentations and our appointments, and we need to practice daily everything that we've learned every single day before we meet with our clients. When it comes to scripts, my biggest aha is that everybody has their own scripts. We're pre-programmed to have scripts, and we're talking and asking questions that are scripted. However, what we found is that most of our own scripts are no good. And so we have to learn the right scripts, the right questions to maintain control of the conversation. Thanks for watching KW Connect. Make it a great day.
Awesome. What do you guys think about that? Let's have a dialogue about that. What stood out to you?
I liked how it was open-ended questions. I think a lot of times we're going through conversations sometimes with people, and maybe it's just me, but it's easy to get in the rut of closing conversations up before they even start.
Totally, especially if you're like a little bit nervous, right? You're just like, yeah, I almost feel like, you know, you start rushing through stuff and it's like, it is super, super great to start developing that skill of keeping the conversation going and the listening, right? Because that's like the best, most valuable pieces of like moving your clients to a successful outcome is understanding all of their internal dialogue, like what goes on inside their head, right? And for a realtor, the scripts that we teach you gives you the ability to get there with your clients, like there, where they're at, meet them there. So, awesome. Anyone else?
Oh, I was just going to say that I actually really enjoyed at least part of that video because I was a little kind of off put when he was talking about controlling the conversation, because that kind of has a negative connotation for me. But, you know, we reinforce that you need to actively listen and, you know, inform what you're going to say based on the responses. I think I kind of get what he was getting at a little bit more, which is to say, like, you know the right the right questions to ask to get the information that would be most helpful to them, but you still need to listen to them and have an actual conversation. Because I think, you know, at least, you know, in sales conversations that have left a bad taste in my mouth when I'm the person being pitched at, it's been the ones where I feel like they're just kind of talking at me and not listening to me at all.
Absolutely. That's a really good point. I actually love that you brought that up. So, and I'm going to like just rabbit trail for 30 seconds about influencing sales language, because I want to make sure that you guys don't have an automatic limiting belief about being manipulative to your clients, because we all have a fiduciary responsibility to represent their best interests. And the scripts will teach you how to do that for them. But just like, I want you to think of your role as a realtor in kind of a nurturing aspect, right? That fiduciary responsibility. Like, yeah, it's a sales job, but ultimately, like, we're professionals, just like doctors, just like attorneys, we're professionals. We guide them through a pretty complex set of circumstances in the purchase and sale of real estate. And we have no idea how to do our jobs without knowing what they need. And we can't know unless we ask. So the scripts help us get there. They help us be consultative. They help us get down to, why is this important to you? Why is that location important to you? Why is that specific timeline important? Like, what's going on in your life right now that makes this important? And based on your goals and the reasons why it's important, you can take your technical knowledge of the real estate market and go, okay, well, based on our conversation that we just had, we need to reverse engineer this for you. And we're going to have this price strategy because you actually need to get there a little sooner than the market would normally let you get there, right? So we're going to price more competitive. We're going to get it under contract quickly. We're going to look for those buyers that want to close, you know, fast, and we're going to market it in this way, you know. So you can't do your fiduciary obligation unless you get really great at asking really good questions. And go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to make a quick comment. I feel like some good advice that I had kind of in the beginning was just to remember to add value into the conversation as well, because, you know, just kind of offering something that they might find valuable kind of like opens it up to feel less salesy for somebody who on this side doesn't like to like feel like they're giving a sales pitch, because I don't think anybody likes to like feel like that, but that you also feel good because you're offering some sort of information that they can find useful. And then also, you know, on their end, I feel like it's, you know, positive for them to get information from you as well that feels like they can use it, so that, you know, you're providing something to them just in a conversation as well.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I would go into any lead generation activity with a plan. Like, that's moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful. And what you're talking about is coming with an item of value that you can offer. And then what happens when they raise their hand and they're actually interested in having a real estate conversation? There's scripts for that as well. And being able to know, like what he was talking about, just listen, actively listen. And don't start coming up with the thing that you want to say next while they're still talking. And those open-ended questions do, like, it leads them down a path, right? We just want to go there with them. So I'm going to do, another plug for our daily script practice with Matt. Paris, the schedule for that is Monday through, or is it Tuesday through Friday or Monday through Thursday?
Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Yeah. And again, you can go to that.
Oh, go ahead.
KW Tech Help, the link to his script practice is right there on the calendar. So if you're just if you go right into KW Tech Help every morning at 8 a.m., you can just click it and go right in. But that's like your safe space to do those script practices, and that will give you really good results so that you don't feel like you're spinning your wheels during lead generation time either.
Quick question about the script practice. Do we need to come prepared with anything, you know, for a first time getting in there? Do we need the script book open? Do we have to actually have a specific script that we're going to be working with?
That's a great question. Like, I would just pop in there, and I think he's leading the script practice. And I think normally he has a script that they'll work on for the week or for a couple of days, and then they flip to the next script. So if you hop in there on time and you don't come late, then I'm sure he'll get you started with the things that you need. Paris, do you know if Matt wants them to have a digital script book in front of them when they sign into that class? And if so, have we provided a location for that resource?
I know Mara sent you guys the script book electronically, right? If you guys don't have that, put it in the chat bar and I'll send it to you right now. But I don't think Matt needs you to do anything. Honestly, just showing up, he can always send you what needs to be practiced at that moment. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Scripts are cool, it says. Okay, so we talked about scripts. The benefit of scripts is really just being a professional. And the other thing is, like, in a real estate transaction can be a bit of a storm. And I would say, like, with both buyers and sellers, but especially around buyers, if you're not really dialed in on your scripts, it's very hard to maintain control of the conversation. And for a lack of being off-put by maintaining control, it's like when you're buying, if you think about the real estate market right now, it's very fast. Things are going quick. There's inflation happening, lots of competition to get under contract. And those are all like challenges for the buyer. it's a bit of a stormy market for buyers. Like it's not a walk in the park for them. So that can be kind of high stress, especially if they're just telling you all of the things and you're just letting them in the houses, right? And hoping that they like one eventually and you'll be able to write an offer. So it's akin, like maintaining control of a conversation is akin to like taking care of your kids. If you were out hiking in the woods and all of a sudden it got stormy and rainy and there was like some danger going on or some possible like things that aren't super safe, like you would immediately begin to take control of that situation and be a little more directive in a very caring way, right? That's what we do for our buyers in this real estate market, set their expectations and say, that's why I'm here. Like, I'm here for you. I'm the professional. I can get you there. I hear that you want to buy a house. Let's talk about how we can make that happen. And then you go through, you know, goals and priorities and stuff. So don't be afraid of taking control of a conversation. Like they want you to do that. That's why they hired you, you know? Does that make sense? Okay. Perfect. So let's go to page 41. Okay, this one, your turn, getting comfortable with scripts. Can someone read for me this page?
I'll read it.
Awesome.
Everyone will take turns practicing scripts. On the following 2 pages, you will find 4 scripts to use for calling people you know. On your own, 1, choose one script that best suits your status. New to real estate script, new to Keller Williams script, remind them you're in real estate script, and new to the area script. Stand up, follow the memorize in 6 steps process on the previous page. With a partner, take turns with your partner saying your entire script as conversational as possible, then switch roles with your partner.
Okay, awesome. So this is giving you some instruction around like when you do script practice, this is how you should do it. And if you're looking to start memorizing scripts, the process on page 40 is as follows. So you read the first sentence of the script out loud 5 times. When you read your script out loud, you're engaging your eyes, your voice, and your entire body. Also, you want to repeat the same sentence 5 times with a huge smile on your face, okay? The big smile is actually going to get your tonality in line because like oftentimes our tone goes right along with how we're doing our body language. So you can change your tone and how you come across over a phone call just by changing your body language in the room that you're in. Okay. Read the second line of the script out loud 10 times while smiling. And then it says, now for the hard part, put your script down and from memory, recite the first 2 sentences out loud 10 times with a big smile. If you make a mistake, start over from the beginning. It's fine. Also, continue adding 1 sentence at a time, repeating 10 times. Anytime you make a mistake, just go back to the beginning. That way you're beginning to get a flow. So you're not getting in the habit of doing it the wrong time every time. That's why they have you start back over at the beginning. So don't worry, don't get flustered, don't get stressed, don't get, freaked out about it. You're just going to go right back to the beginning and start again. Okay, as soon as you do that, where you're continuing to add the sentences each time until and repeat it 10 times. Once you can do that, then the next step would be to say the entire script as fast as you can 5 times in a row, just super fast. You don't have to put the pauses or anything in. You're just going to get through it as fast as you can. Your chances of stumbling when reading the script at a normal pace after you've practiced and chanted them are very small. So that's kind of why they're basically just taking you through that process of like, you're going to say it out loud. You're going to say it slow. You're going to say it fast. You'll repeat it lots of times, start over from the beginning and go through the whole thing. And that will start to embed it into your mind. Okay, doing this 6-step process is the best way scripts become natural to you. Instead of having to think about what you say next, you'll probably be able to listen to how your customer is responding. How long will it take to memorize and internalize? The truth is, it doesn't really matter how long, because you just keep using the scripts. You become better at them over time. So don't rush, be patient, expect good results, and they will come to you. Keep smiling, keep practicing, and keep rehearsing, and you'll achieve success with internalizing your scripts. Part of self-mastery. Okay. All right, so did everyone have an opportunity to choose their script? If not, we're going to move forward just a couple of pages. So not on page 42, but it starts on page 43. There's some scripts in your book. For most of you, you're going to be using probably the New to Real Estate script. Is that right? Is anyone else using anything but the New to Real Estate script? If so, put it in the chat box which one you've decided to use. Okay, awesome. So, oh, remind them you're in real estate. Okay, perfect. So here's the other thing. Script practice at 8 a.m. is very good. And like, you will have some time with a coach specifically to help you through that. And then for me, something that was very valuable, because I can like put my AirPods or earbuds in while I'm doing the dishes, or, you know, cleaning house, or, you know, whatever I'm doing, driving, put it in the car. I actually did use that 6-step process. But I added a step for myself, which was reading. Once I got pretty good at not messing the script up, I actually read it out loud and recorded it on my phone. And then I just would listen to them, like basically in my free time. Every minute that I had some free time, I was mastering the scripts, memorizing them, internalizing them. So I would just listen to them again and again. And you can leave little spaces in there for like a repeat after me too. If you'd like to do that at first, you can be like, hi, this is Shauna. Do you have a moment? And then give a few extra seconds in the recording so that you can then repeat after yourself that. And then like, I'd like to share the exciting news that I've become a real estate agent with Keller Williams. And then give a pause so you can repeat after that. With this new partnership, I'll have all the knowledge working for me. Plus my clients get all my enthusiasm and hard work. I thought about sharing this with you because I knew that you would be someone to help me grow my business. Okay, now you'll see some arrows. It says like continue with the rest of the script. And then there's arrows pointing to the right and it says rest of script. So, and then there's these. So make sure that you read through this and do the things. And then remember, you can definitely make it conversational, make it your own. Just get it internal, right? And don't avoid making your calls just because you don't have the script memorized. Like this is part of self-mastery. It's a process. It'll take you a while. Just make the calls anyway. And work on the scripts as well. Okay. Next slide. Make your calls. This is the your turn, and you get 20 minutes to do this. What I would say for every Ignite class is, and you know, we spend a lot of time in class, you guys. Use this as a leverage point for your time management. Today, you probably didn't know that you would need to do some lead generation in class, but you should come ready with a list or an idea of who you're going to call and have that in mind. Because every Ignite class, there is some time to make some calls. Put a big smiley face in the chat box if you actually have like 3 to 5 people you could call right now just on your cell phone. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to do this. We're going to go ahead and mute, like everybody mute yourself, pull out your cell phone, and let's make however many calls you can get through essentially in the next 10 minutes. We'll cut the time in half because I want to make sure and get through the material for you. But let's rip the Band-Aid and make some calls. We will do the next 10 minutes, try to call at least 3 people. Okay, ready, set, go. Paris, would you say we've had about 10 minutes? I like,
Yeah.
I'm cowboy styling this class, so.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. So it's cool if you're still on a phone call, go ahead and wrap up and we'll get started. Okay, no problem. All right, if you are, perfect. Okay, if you are still on a phone call, that's totally fine. If my talking is disrupting your phone call, please go ahead and just walk away from your computer for a few minutes until you can finish that call up, and we're gonna go ahead and move forward. Okay, perfect. So Paris, next slide for me, please. This is going to go right into, essentially this class is just teaching you the basics of this lead generation behavior. So as soon as you make the calls, best practices to just have those note cards available. When you hang up the phone, just go right into writing the thank you note. And you know, have your envelopes pre-stamped so that all you have to do is just hang up that phone, write the thank you note out, stick it in the envelope, and make yourself a pile as you're going through your lead generation for the day. And then it's just walking it to the mailbox. So in the interest of time, because I think we only have about 15 minutes left, isn't that right, Paris?
We have like 4 minutes left, but it's almost 4 o'clock. But
so in the interest of time, we're not going to take 5 minutes to do this exercise, but what I will say is set your lead generation area up for success. Like you should create an area to do this, whether it's in your home, if you have a home office, or if it's your dining room, you know, you can get a small tote and have like your thank you cards, your stamps, a pen. Just set yourself up for success so that when you do sit down to do the activity, like you have everything you need. And and that's about all I will say about that. Next slide is a quick conversation around accountability. Okay. And one thing that I will say is when you're launching a real estate career, there's a lot of to-dos, right? You get those missions, there's checklists, there's a lot of stuff, business cards, website, yada, yada, and you can kind of get bogged down into the details. I just want you to feel confident and to know that the activity that we just spent 10 minutes on is the most dollar productive activity in your business. And you should prioritize it over everything else. Okay. So when you are kind of conceptualizing, how do I prioritize my tasks for the day? Make sure and do it in such a way that you're putting your lead generation time and you're protecting it. And do not give yourself a time block or permission to do any other time block until you've done that thing. And then you can move on to your mission tasks and your other stuff. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, to get started in real estate, all you need is a cell phone. You need a cell phone and you need to like talk to people. Other than that, like, okay, when you're ready to write a contract, yeah, you need to write a contract. But once you get through onboarding with ASD, like you will already have access to your forms. You already have a cell phone before you even come to Keller Williams. And you have people inside your cell phone that you know that you can call. And so you already have everything set up right now to launch your real estate business. So I would just keep that in mind. Like, actually, you are already prepared to start doing this and you can do it every day, starting now. And then go into the tasky things of, oh, I need a website. Oh, I need a professional voicemail, you know, things like that. So cool. So the accountability piece of this, and Gary Keller is talking here about an accountability feedback loop. Can someone please read on page 47, this section about accountability feedback loop?
Yeah, I would be happy to.
Thank you.
Let's see. Accountability feedback loop. Earlier in the 6 personal perspectives, we learned that that accountability is a tool for continually changing the results in your life in those areas that matter most, your 20%. Goal achievement is a direct result of accountability. To support your goal setting, we recommend you, 1, follow an action plan. During this course, you will have an action plan that outlines the specific actions you will take to achieve your goals. You will also create a calendar that helps you time block the specific activities you will do to achieve your goals. 2, work with your market center leadership to help you measure, evaluate, and make adjustments to your action plan. Develop
Okay. So the long and short of it, guys, is you have the tools right now. Like, you just got a link to your business planning. Everyone has an idea about their numbers in there. And you should all, by the end of this afternoon, have the win the day form, which is essentially like a really great way to keep you focused on the most important things. And then you have the resources that you need at kwtechhelp.com, where you can get into your action plans. Those are things that you just need to take a look at and give yourself, between 30 minutes and an hour the day before Ignite to take a look through that action plan and get as much done as you can before class. That'll get you well prepared for the conversations we're going to have in class. You can ultimately time manage in the way that works best for you by running your calendar, whether that's on paper or in like Google Calendar. You'll start to create time blocks. There's a great example for that in the book. You can see it up on your slide right now. Remember, this is just an example with essentially the most important 2 things right now in your first quarter of real estate that you can do is time block for lead generation and time block to get through the class materials. Next slide, live by your calendar. On page 55, on page 56, actually, I'm going to say like, this is an example that you can go by. These would work really good into a Google Calendar. I wouldn't worry about any particular order. Just keep in mind that we run our classes in the afternoons, Monday through Thursday, and you can kind of work everything else around that. And around your own personal schedule, of course. And then we're going to talk on page 57 about who will hold you accountable. Okay. And of course, that's your coaches and productivity coaches. That's what we're here for. And you also need to identify some success partners. This would be a spouse. Depending on the age of your kids, you can get them involved in holding you accountable and having that like family dynamic of accountability. Friends and colleagues, like, exchange numbers with the folks that are also in class with you and new agents, and then you can be texting each other and just create a plan and identify some specific people who you'll check in with daily to maintain a level of personal responsibility to your own goals. Okay. And then another thing that I would like to point out, next slide, please, is on page 61, starting on page 61, these are some really powerful tools that you can utilize in having some commitment conversations with your family and with yourself. So there's an agreement of expectations there. That's on page 61. And I would go through that and definitely make a commitment, fill it out, give your coach a copy, give your accountability partner a copy, paste one up on your wall so you can remember you made this commitment to yourself. And then this is an actual really cool tool if you have kids at home or a spouse at home who is needing to support you in your endeavors. Kind of just like developing a conversation around a more formal and significant family agreement. So read through that and decide for yourself if that's a tool you'd like to implement so that your family can be all in with you on this. Okay, last but not least, let's go to the next slide here. Putting it all together. What I would like to do is remind you of the things that we talked about at the very beginning regarding your action plans. Again, that's kwtechhelp.com. The Ignite materials, there's a resources link right there, and you can grab those action plans and make sure to give yourself a time block to prepare for class and a time block to prepare for lead generation. That way you can, you know, spend your dollar productive time being well organized. All right. Any questions as we wrap up today's class, guys?
Oh, actually, yeah, I did have a question. So I haven't called anyone yet, just because I haven't even got my name out there yet. That's one of the things I've been nervous about, but after today, I feel a bit better about that. But
Good.
how do you all actually go about choosing who you're going to call during these times? Because honestly, you know, if I was just gonna pick somebody in my phone book to call, I don't know who I'd pick. I have no clue.
Oh, that is a really good question. And there is probably more than one person feeling how you're feeling right now. So no judgment there. Do not feel bad whatsoever about having that thought. I would say that that's a limiting belief, and we do have tools actually for you to help kind of break through that initial, like, rip the Band-Aid, make some calls. So there is a Do Your Database 2 schedule, DTD2 schedule. Paris, do you know if we have the DTD2 schedule posted on the KW Tech Help site? Or if
I don't know, but I'll make sure that it gets out to you guys.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, for that one, that way there's no call bias. You can't like scroll through and be like, oh, he wouldn't want to talk to me, or you know what I mean? What that one does is it gives you a letter or a couple of letters to call for the week or for the day. And you just go through and find everyone with that letter for their last name. And those are the people that you call, or you letter for their first name. Maybe you're not saving people by their last name yet, so you've only got first names. That's a fine. Just use it for the letter of their first name. And then that way you just make those calls. And also for you, since you just moved from out of state, are you originally from Oregon or new to Oregon?
Yes, I am. I grew up here and I moved away for like 6 years, and then I came back.
Okay. So for you, I would say you have two goals. You're like making new, like refreshing relationships or making new connections here in Oregon. And you can also call your friends and family that are in the other state, like, you know, outside of the state, and let them know you're in real estate. And referrals are a thing for realtors. So I would find yourself a great KW agent in the state you just came from to send your sphere of influence to if they should need real estate help in that area. That way you can still make your lead generation calls like to everyone you know, right? But I would definitely spend more time on your local folks, and then you just want to re-engage with relationships. So if you haven't spent much time with them since you've been back, your lead generation time is going to look more like just hanging out, having a conversation, playing a game of cards, having a cup of coffee, like doing something just to rekindle the relationship and start to nurture that. And then just make sure that you talk about what you're doing now in your life. Like, I'm a realtor. I'm really excited about it. I have a great coaching program I'm in. Like, things are looking pretty exciting in my life. And it very naturally leads into a conversation of how can they help you succeed? And that's how you teach them how to give you a referral. So hope that helps.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Anyone else with questions before we dismiss for the day?
What is you said DTD2, is that what you said?
Yeah, it's I know, alphabet soup, but what it means is Do Your Database 2. And it's just a catchphrase for, you know, one of those things about getting organized and having, it was actually come up with by a Keller Williams real estate agent. And it was such a great idea that it became like really popular, kind of just spread through the KW network, like, hey, this is a great tool and we need to start using this. And what it does is it just organizes your systemized calling so that you never miss any opportunity, so that you're actually touching every single person you know over the phone without having any call bias. So if their letter starts with the D, like, and you haven't talked to Debbie in 2 years, you're not going to avoid making that phone call because you're nervous. Like, why would I be calling her now? And the conversation might look different. Like, hi, Debbie, it's been like long time no see. How are you? And, oh, I'm fine. Like, yeah, it's been forever. What are you up to lately? Like, yeah, I was actually just going to ask you the same thing. Like, you don't even get into your real estate conversation yet. Like, yeah, you know, I was just calling to check in on you. Like, I realize we've kind of lost touch and it's been a tough year. Like, how's your family? You know.
I have a quick question about homework. What's your expectation for the next class? Because I don't think we got the, like, do you want us to read through all of session 2 and then also go through, no?
Nah. What I would do, yeah. What I like, don't overwhelm yourself with a lot of tasky things to do. My expectation is that you do your lead generation time. It's a couple hours a day. It's the hardest one to get done. So do that first. And then expectation number 2 is give yourself about 30 minutes the night before the next Ignite Power session and go to kwtechhelp.com, click on the action plan, the mission. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Click on the mission for Power Session 2, and that'll be the 2 things, right? The one thing is make sure that you do your lead generation. The number 2 thing is make sure you take a look at mission number 2 before you hop into the next Ignite Power session, so you're well prepared for the conversations and the learning.
Thank you.
And it looks like a lot of these things in the missions are like online type things. Is there an online version of this so we can click on links, or?
Absolutely. Are you looking at, like, you have a binder? And
Yes, I do.
Yes. So perfect. If you go to kwtechhelp.com and then you go to the tab that says Ignite, there is a resources link that will actually take you directly to the missions. And you just click mission 2, and then it'll pull up a PDF version of this mission. And instead of printing it out and going through the checklist, you can actually just click, because there's hyperlinks that'll take you to all the things that you need to do and know. Yep.
Yeah, I just found that awesome. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Okay, guys, I am happy to stay on for like another 10 or 15 minutes to answer questions, but I'm going to dismiss the rest of the class. So those of you who don't have questions, have a beautiful rest of your evening. And we'll see you soon.
Hey, Shauna.
Yeah.
So like I'm getting my sphere in there, and kind of going through my phone, but I find myself going, oh, I don't want to, I know they know realtors, or, you know, it is awkward when it's like it's somebody I haven't talked to for 5 years. And it's kind of weird too, because I don't have my license yet. So it's like, well, I'm almost ready.
Yeah.
You know, and we talked about this the other day.
We did. Well, for you, like, I would say a really good activity then would be actually to go ahead and like just make yourself kind of like get a spiral notebook or something and start scrolling through your phone. And if you run into that name where it's like, we have not connected in like, it's been years, write the name down. This is the like, it's been years list. Okay. And then you know that you have a list of folks that really do need you to reconnect on a personal level. And it's not necessarily just going to be about real estate. Like, you know that you haven't put in the time to actually earn the right to ask them for their business. So you need to be a good human to those people. Reconnect first, like make the call, ask to have coffee, ask how their life has been, like, you know, make a connection and just begin to, you know, nurture the relationships in your life. And it's easy to do, Deb. like to get off. Is it okay if I called you Deb, or would you prefer Deb?
Yeah, Deb. Yeah, Deb.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, you just want to take the opportunity to like nurture those relationships in your life. And if relationships haven't been a priority for you in your life for one reason or another, we get busy, we don't focus on others, it's fine. Do not have any guilt around that. But I would put that into your 2021. Like, if you're going to have a New Year's resolution, this would be it. Like, I want to be a good human to my friends. So I'm going to start focusing on them. You know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's helpful. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you.
You're
Okay.
so welcome. Bye.
All right, take care, everybody.
Bye. Take care.
Shauna?
Yep.
Hey, I just, if there's an opportunity to check in maybe like an hour or so, I would love to, just about the repair addendum and about the title stuff. So
absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
I have 2 calls after this, but I am available after 5 p.m. if that works for you.
Yeah. You want to give me a call? Or you want me to give you a call?
Why don't you text? That your kiddo-
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Why don't you text me at like 5:15?
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Tori.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.